my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capping space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
welcome back, guys. We are here. This is quite the episode. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. How you guys doing? I hope you're having a great Memorial Day weekend. I hope you're having a chance to spend it with friends, family, and loved ones. And over there, JR X-rated. How are you doing tonight?
I'm all good, thank you, Aubrey. Welcome everyone. Good evening to everyone out there tuning in. Hope all is well. Hope you're enjoying Memorial Day weekend. Over here we have a bank holiday, so we've got like a long weekend. You don't have to work tomorrow in some jobs. And also, it's a great day because today is my mum and pop's 45th year anniversary of marriage.
Woo! That is awesome. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Only, wow, 45 years. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yes, indeed.
Are you missing the celebration right now?
No. I went down and saw them a little earlier.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad that you got a chance to see them and celebrate them and say, hey, you guys are my role models. Now, that's what I call a power couple right there. You know, people on IG are always talking about power couples, but now 45 years of love and happiness, ups and downs, raising a family, raising 3 wonderful adults. That is what I call a true power couple. So you please give them my best wishes and how excited I am to hear them hit that milestone. Please give those to them later, please.
Will do, and that's much appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. But so you guys have a bank holiday too. Okay, wow. We finally got a holiday that kind of coincides at least with the timing. Yeah. Yep, for once, right. Yeah, because our Mother's Day obviously are months apart. Yeah. I was just backstage. Let me see. Oh, we got a lot of comments here. Let me get over to that side of the board. How's everybody doing? I don't even have my banner up. Let me get that sucker up. I was talking to JR back there, and one of the reasons why I was taking a little longer than usual was because this episode, it triggered my own personal lost memory or repressed memory of something that happened to me related to some things that we're going to talk about later on in this episode. So guys, just hold on to your seats. This is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. But let me get these comments up here for now and see what you guys are saying. And if you're just coming in, be sure to smash that like button and shout out and tell us where you're coming from, where you are tonight in the world. Hey, Ms. Wilson, shout out to her. Hey, Sissy, good to see you. Good to see you. Hi, Vibe. Wow. Hey there. Good to see you. Ari. Hey, everyone. See it. Wonderful. You guys go over there and check out. You guys bug me about South Africa. You guys definitely go over and look at the ultimatum South Africa. Cid and I tackled that last night, and that was a really good podcast. So go over and check that out. We got our own JR in the chat. Hey, Colton, good to see you. Baby Dow. All right. Shout out to Baby Dow. What did you guys think of this episode? Was it triggering also for anybody else out there besides me? LC, this episode, everybody was kung fu fighting. I know that's right. Definitely, definitely. And our own moderator extraordinaire, Monique King, welcome into the room. Do what she says do, guys. Have a good afternoon and good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. And give this a nice thumbs up before we get started, right? Okay. Was okay. Um, yeah. So, what did you think, Jr.? What did you think of this episode? I mean, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot of arguing, a lot of cussing, fussing, and fighting. Looks like. Um, mm, so
Yep.
much going on, so many
Hmm.
talking points, and so many triggerable situations. So,
Yeah.
first of
Yeah.
all, the trigger warning is necessary because obviously there are some people that may have seen something on the show that
Hmm.
incited something, or like you mentioned earlier, maybe brought flashbacks, but also some people may be in situations or have experienced those situations and don't know how to have reacted differently or see themselves reacting the same way as what we saw. So hopefully we can get through this without triggering too many people and doing it in the spirit of civil discourse and great conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All of what you said. Thank you for that. And thank you for reminding me earlier that I definitely need to get that trigger warning up. I did go back and do that on this video description and in the places I posted over on Facebook. I put up the trigger warning so that anybody would click on the video, they know. And I told them, what it was about briefly, and also the number for the hotline, the national hotline for survivors of SA, right? Um, the B word. The B word is thrown around a lot in this episode.
Hmm. Sure was. I'm not sure what the difference is between when Sienna was calling Brandon that, when Millie calls Chris that, and also when Aaron calls Diamond's friend that. So I think they need to get some consistency because it's kind of confusing to me at the moment why that word is being used so frequently and it's not punishable in the same way.
Wait a minute. Say that again. Like, so say that again, what you just said. I'm sorry. I blacked out for a minute. Not blacked
So
out.
if what is the difference between Millie saying it to Chris, just
Mm-hmm.
in a disrespectful way, right?
Yes, definitely.
When
Yes.
Aaron used it on Diamond's friend, it was
Hmm.
disrespectful, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then
Also.
right,
Hmm.
and then what was the other one? Yeah. So is that the same as when Sienna called Brandon the same thing? It was used in disrespect. So I need some consistency on that word as it
Mm.
pertains to being thrown around in a heated situation. That needs to be punishable in the same way as it was for Millie, for Sienna, sorry, and Brandon.
Oh, okay. That because that's what I was trying to. I was wondering. Okay. Now you're connecting the dots for me. Okay, so because Sienna, the way she was treating her guy and calling him the B word. Okay, I got you. I got you. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like we see Taronda in this episode, and yet we don't hear any mention of everybody throwing that B word around. And surely they got the cameraman there. Surely they must know, guys. I hope we can hang in here for this podcast, man. It's storming and looks like my power is gonna go out. But anyway, yeah, that was, yeah, you're right. I don't understand it. And what I really don't understand, or again, you guys tell me in the chat if this is something you guys experience or something you even do yourself. No judgments here, but I am not accustomed to women calling men the B word. I'm just not. I'm just not. Now, I've heard women call other women the B word. I've heard men call women the B word, but a woman calling a man the B word? Whoa, where'd they do that at?
They do that everywhere now. It seems like on every, it's kind of normalized. It seems because these ladies don't know each other, but yet they're still throwing it out there like that when they get heated. But
Mm,
also you have to remember, like now we live in a time where, you know, if a if we take Millie and Chris's situation, because she was heated and he didn't want to stand up to her and match her energy, then he's considered the B word, right?
mm-hmm.
And then if we look at how Aaron was going back and forth with Dymond's friend, he's going to be considered sassy because he matched their energy. So
Mm-hmm.
in both outcomes, then, you know, the guy's in a no-win situation. He's basically being called the B word, and there isn't anything he can do. If he matches the energy, then he's, like I said, he's sassy. If he ignores and tries to downplay it or smooth it over, then she
Mm-hmm.
feels like she's not being heard. So then he's a B for not letting her raise up on him.
Yeah,
So
I got a lot of smoke for Millie this episode. Like, man, from top to bottom, from beginning to end, Millie is starting to become problematic. She's
mhm,
starting to become problematic. You know, she started off real good, real sweet. I thought my money was on Aaron H and Dymond to make it to the end and to be a couple still, and uh, Greg and Millie, I thought had a good shot at it too. But now that I'm seeing all this trauma and how it's unfolding, and I'm just wondering, like, if they were talking, Greg and Millie were talking, I believe it was like 3 years.
mhm,
I'm just wondering, and they weren't seeing each other. They were in the same city, but they didn't see each other. I'm just wondering why she wasn't getting any therapy or doing some kind of work on herself, because you have to know. And you know, it's also this episode with same thing, but in coming out in a different way with Jody.
mhm,
Jody is not healed, and I don't know where this idea came from to be a sexologist, and that now that's her empowerment, because we see in her personal life. So maybe in her professional life, I'm sure because of the trauma, she's able to better inform other women and even men about, how to get back to the place where you feel comfortable having hot and heavy time with your partner. But what I don't see is in her own personal life, I don't see that connection that she's making with men, because either if it's not her own Aaron, even the men, like she keeps saying this term that she's a man eater. And I'm like, define man eater. So basically, you're telling me you sound like a dude because you have hot and heavy time, but you have no feelings for these people. So there's something emotionally unavailable about you. And you think that's okay? Is that, you good with that?
mhm. Well, what we're seeing, in my opinion, is that mindset is playing out into now she can't connect with someone intimately in a relationship because she's so used to that man eater mindset
Mm-hmm.
based on what she experienced. So
Mm-hmm.
now she's required to open up and be more intimate and expressive with her affection to someone she wants to be in a relationship with. There's nothing there. Like she can't do it. And
Mm-hmm.
we saw him push the beds together and try and initiate some type of contact, and she completely lambasted him the next morning for it, chastised him for doing it. So
Right. Right.
yeah, unfortunately, I do see. I'm starting to see more similarities between Millie, uh, Jody, and Sienna in particular, because like they've already expressed on the show, they've all gone through some type of instance or trauma inducing scenario, and now it's manifesting and affecting any potential relationship they have.
Yeah, exactly. It's the father, and the friend, this episode, they were the best outside guest I think we've had thus far. You know,
Yeah, and even
they,
Aaron's friend, he wasn't problematic at all. I don't think he got to do much other than watch the fireworks go off between
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about him because there was so
yeah,
much going on. Right, Ronald. Yeah, Ronald
yeah.
was cool. Yeah,
It kind of
Ronald kind
reminded
of
me of Cedric the Entertainer a little bit.
and Ronald kind of reminded me of my father.
Well,
He reminded me of my father, like a few shades darker. He is a few shades darker than my father was, but I thought he was very handsome.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So anyways, we'll get started tonight. This episode we started off with Aaron H, like we were talking about, going back and forth with Dymond's sister. The name calling got out of hand, even went to playing the dozens and calling out family members, your mama, your daddy, your stinking lousy children. Uh I don't know. I'm just not accustomed to that. First of all, the name calling. What did you think about the name calling, Jr.?
Man, as I said, the name calling is terrible, and um, it's even worse when they stand on it because they mean it, right? It's not a
Mm-hmm.
faux pas. It's not like you got me mad. I just slipped up and said it. No, she genuinely thinks that about him. So, and the thing is, it seemed like Dymond's friend, sister, whoever she was gradually
Yes.
getting more and more worked up and more disrespectful
Yes.
before Aaron even entered the room, because he was chilling with his partner in the other room, talking about, yeah, he wants to get married to Dymond, he loves her, and all this other stuff. But within earshot, he can hear himself being disrespected and everything and clowned in front of his friend, and he's listening to all of that. So when he goes in, man, it's nothing good gonna come from it, because Dymond's friend wasn't prepared to even lighten up, even get to know him. Like, she was dead set on, I don't like you,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Not.
just carried on from there. Now the problem is, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, when he first joined the conversation, he wasn't matching. But then, as it started to flare up, he began to match as well, and then she ended up cussing his kids and things like that. And if you disrespect anybody and their kids and all that other stuff, then you're more protective of your kids, I would have thought, than you are
Yeah.
to most other things. So
Yes.
yeah, it was very targeted. It was designed to incite. And then guess what? She won, because now she can go back to Dymond and say exactly what she said. Look, if he can flip on me like this and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even know me, then you should be scared, because he's going to flip on you the same way. The big
Yeah, she
difference
said it.
is,
She did.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So it was a ploy and he fell for it. And unfortunately, it seems like the only way that he could have avoided that situation is to basically just walk straight out the room and not say anything,
Mm.
which will be tough to do. I don't know many people that will be able
What?
to bite their lip while they're being
What?
verbally
What?
destroyed like that, right?
Okay, what do you think? What do you think if one is just one of them had backed down? If either one, it didn't have to be him, it could have been her. Didn't have to
Hmm.
be her, it could have been him. This thing doesn't get all ramped up like that. Like, I'm still trying to understand grown-ups, grown folks that just wanna tangle with other grown folks. I don't understand. Like, what?
I know why, because some people get the thrill of the adrenaline rush when you're arguing, when you're confronting them, right? But the thing is, I feel like, even if, like, she was amped up before he even stepped in the room, so she was not going to back down when he stepped in the room, because she has a severe disdain and dislike for him. And like I said, like, if he had backed down and walked away, like, I don't think she would have stopped. It wouldn't have changed anything. She still would have had the same perception. She still would have been cussing him out and letting Dymond know what she thinks of him, which would severely influence how Dymond sees him. Because if you notice, Dymond's perception of him changed too. So it went from last week, he wasn't protecting her,
Mm-hmm.
now to this week, the way he stands up for himself, he went overboard in her opinion. But he apologized, whereas her friend didn't. So her
He,
friend
he
is now emboldened to keep disrespecting him.
Well, wait
anytime
a
she
minute.
did.
Hold that thought right there. He went overboard both times. He went overboard when he was trying to go back in after the fact, a day or two later, and protect her, quote unquote, like as you're saying, with Jody. Telling Jody that he doesn't like her. He never liked her. Like, really? What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Yeah,
You
I agree.
know,
He
and
went
and
overboard.
then this sister friend, whomever, some associate of his woman Diamonds, but to go at her so viciously and calling her all kind of bees, and and her too on her side, her calling him all kind of bees. I don't understand, but here's a thought. So El Cid has a comment, and I want you to tell me what you think of this. El Cid says, "Oh wait, no, that wasn't the one I wanted. Yeah, let me go back. This one." She says Dymond created this issue. Would you guys agree or disagree out there in the chat? Now, JR, tell me what you think.
I don't think she mediated it well at all. She seemed to be on her friend's side. She didn't, like I said, Aaron apologized for his side in it, said he loved her, said he's in love with her. She looked completely unmoved,
Yeah.
uninterested. Now, when she went back to the friend, she didn't say anything to the friend to kind of say, listen, what you said was wrong. You should not be going in on my man like that. Or, you need to apologize to him because that was out of order. She never said anything like that. So she is to blame. She poorly mediated that. She didn't cover him at all.
No, I don't think so. What do you guys think? Do you think that Dymond actually created this issue, as Elsis said? That's a very good point. Thank you for that too. Get back over to comments. Um, Dymond hyped him up with Jody and brought the friend she knew he had issues with. Oh, good point.
Mhm. Exactly.
She's always putting a battery in his back,
That's
right?
that's exactly it. Because, like I said, like he went overboard, but ultimately it was Dymond that started the Jody situation and felt like he needed to get involved when he didn't. So when he did, he comes in on 10 trying to show out to his lady because that's what he thinks she's expecting of him. This time it's different because now her friends disrespecting him and cussing him out and all these other stuff. When he goes into the room, instead of it being a formal, hey, this is my friend Reggie, that's whatever his name is, Ronald, and then she introduces her friend. Nah, the introduction's already frosty because he's already heard the 100 things you've been calling him, calling him out his name and cussing him about from the next room. So I don't, like I said, Dymond basically just sat there and let her friend do that, and that wasn't cool in my opinion. If you really like him, you care about him, you love him, this is who you want to be with, they're gonna encounter each other potentially during your relationship together. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, would have been to smooth it out. Just say, listen, you may not like each other, but you have her in common, Dymond in common. You're both a part of her life. You're gonna see each
Right.
other, so you might as well get over this dislike you have, or at least be cordial and civil to one another. That way, it doesn't escalate. Then she's not going to be in the middle. But like I said, she didn't have the foresight to do that. She just let her friend rip him apart. When he raises up, then he, like I said, it's a no-win situation. Like he's going to be considered sassy or overboard, or he shouldn't raise up to a woman, and this, that, the other. So he fell for it too. That's not the way to conduct a relationship. That's going to work.
Yeah. You. I don't know. I don't know. What's a man to do? If you could put yourself in that situation, your woman says XYZ to you, and you are in love with her. You telling me you're not going to go along with what she's telling you?
Mm. Well, just like um, there's a trigger warning on this particular episode. There are some guys that may be triggered by watching that because they know they've experienced those type of hostilities with either their girl or with one of their girl's friends or family member or whatever.
Yeah, apparently, I guess this is something that I don't know. I guess I better wake up and smell the coffee or something. Speaking of coffee, I need to go make a pot. No, I mean seriously, like it more and more reminds me of love and hip hop. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so with that being said, uh Ronald reminds us in the kitchen later on, he reminds us that's Aaron's friend, reminds everyone that even siblings argue and fuss and fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. Let me get this off the screen. Aaron is here, and he says he might be able to come back up in about another hour or so to join us. But I wanted to get through some of this with just you and I for right now. So whose side? This is the question I have for the chat and those. Wait a minute. Oh no, that's not it. Oh yeah, that is it. Guys, chime in if you're out there in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, chime in the comment section. What are your thoughts? Whose side should Dymond take? And while we're waiting for them to answer, JR, what do you think? Whose side should Dymond take? How does she maneuver through this? These two people are button heads, and they're clearly not going to ever like each other. What should she do, and what do you think she could have done to minimize this?
Well, I think it depends. If she values her relationship and wants it to work with him, then she's gonna have to side with him. Accept the apology, realize that her friend was out of pocket, and hostile towards him, and try and carry on that relationship without having the negativity that the friend's gonna bring to it. The other, and if she doesn't value the relationship, doesn't see it going anywhere, then she's probably going to use what the friend said as reasons, motives, ammunition to use against him in order to distance herself. So it really depends on if she sees the relationship lasting or not.
Okay. What's a man to do? Leave the room and say, "Come when you can to meet my friend." Okay. He meet his friend Ronald. Okay, because I was like, meet his friend. You know what I thought of? I thought of a piece of metal, a lethal weapon. Like, you can come meet my friend when you're ready.
Oh wow!
These Detroit streets have got my mind messed up.
Crazy. So what are where do you think Dymond should go with this? What do you think should have been her resolution to the situation?
Yeah, I think that with the friend, I think had I been in Dymond's position right away when the friend was getting revved up, I would have tried to calm my friend down. I would have. I really would have. And I would have, had to say to the friend, "Hey, listen, this is my new guy. I want you two to get along. And if you can't get along, I want you to at least be cordial. Let's all be cordial and civilized and respectful, like I know you can be." But now, to be fair, some of us sometimes have friends that we know they cannot be cordial if they decided they don't like someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all got, I think many of us, I won't say all, but many of us have that kind of friend or know those kind of people that they just cannot be cordial. They got, what they call it. I hear this a lot in reality TV. I got to keep it real. I got to be honest. I got to tell you how I feel about everything that I'm feeling right now in this moment. Everybody needs to know about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? I mean, like, half of us don't really even care about how you feeling in this moment. Like, what? You got to tell everybody? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a general type of thing, like how you feel, what you think, why is it as adults? I'm just thinking, why can't you process stuff without saying everything out loud? Like my mother used to say, you cannot say everything you think. Everything thought that comes through your mind is not meant to be filtered outward.
Yeah, but some people don't practice that. They believe that whatever they think or feel, they need to let you know, and they're entitled to do it, and you got to sit there and take it. And that's, if we all lived in a world like that, it would just be chaos and craziness every day. Yeah, I feel like Dymond I mean, it isn't it is a tough situation for her, but she was just sitting back watching tennis. She was just watching one person lob insult to the other.
Head going back and forth like she watching
Yeah,
Serena
like
and whoever else. I
she
don't
was the
know.
umpire in the tennis match between the two of them.
Who's that new girl? Is it Dawn? Dawn. Who's a new tennis star that's out on the scene? She's black. Oh, I
Mm.
can't think of her name right now, but I'll get back to you on that one because I know where to find it. So in the kitchen, Chris starts to talk naughty to Sandia, and is talking about taking a shower together and doing other adult-like activities. So we're finally. Well, what do you think? What caused all of this, Jr.? What do you think? What caused him to be feeling amorous all of a sudden?
Mm, I don't know. I think he felt like it's that time. Like they've spent all that time talking online. They've been in the house for a little while now. So I think he's trying to initiate or think about how to up their physical intimacy level and things like that. And while they're there in the house, um, it seems like Josh and Shay, because of their connection, they're getting into that boom boom room very regularly.
Right.
So, so for some people, if you feel like you've got a connection with that person, like Chris apparently says he has with Sandia, then he's naturally going to want to take it there. And to be fair, despite the negative press that Chris has gotten during his time in the house, like I think it's mainly the personality differences that he doesn't find attractive, as attractive as, say, Jody, for example's personality. But in terms of the physical, I think he likes Cynthia, and I think they have that cultural bond, like he said. So, I think it's just a natural progression. You've been talking for a while. Now that you've done an intimacy challenge, you've seen that you kind of are attracted to each other. You're kissing, you're hugging, you're spending nights together. Why not try and take it further?
Well, some in the comment section are saying that no, Chris is just really horny. It's not even like he's built up and been romantic with that girl, except for that one date. I've never really seen him be romantical with her, like, for example, how we've seen Greg be romantical with Millie. Like, I don't
No.
see them holding hands. I don't see them doing none of that stuff. And every time she goes to touch him, he gives her the minimal amount of attention. Every time, even this episode.
Well, I don't know, because I saw them sharing the bed and they looked pretty hugged up and cuddled up while Aaron J was next to them sleeping by himself. So I think from what I saw, all the guys are pretty much coupled up with their partners, and that includes Chris and Sandia. So if they're sharing the night, sharing the bed together at night, it's pretty close. And if he is getting horny, I think, being horny is a natural state, unless you're able to switch it off completely, and or you're a nun or you're abstaining or whatever the case may be. But if they're two consenting adults, two red-blooded people, then I assume they both get horny at certain times, and who better to express that with than the person you're actually in a relationship with? What's he supposed to do? If he is horny, what's he supposed to do? Go to Jody or go to someone else in the house? No.
Ooh, no, you didn't, smarty pants. No,
right,
you didn't say. What's he supposed to do? Go to Jody. Jody not his girl.
Exactly.
Jody not his girl.
Right. So then you'd have a talking point. But if he's going to his actual girl who he likes, who he's in a relationship with, even if he was horny, he's trying to see if she's horny like that too, and she's feeling him like that. And if they're both consenting and they both are attracted to each other, ain't nothing wrong with it.
Some people think that he's been going through a drought since he's been in the house because everybody else is coupled up. So I imagine so.
Yeah,
I guess my point is,
probably,
as a woman, I just want to say this. I guess our point is, as women, I'm going to represent all the people out there in the chat that are saying this. I think a woman's point is we just don't want you guys to be using us just to get your rocks off, because you always got your two hands. That's what I say. You always got your two hands. You ain't got to look at me.
That's true. But, again, why have you built up this online connection for? Why are you going to the
Right.
house to meet each other if you're not interested in exploring all aspects of your relationship?
I agree
And
with you on that. I was
right,
being funny.
so,
I agree with you.
he could use 5 fingers or whatever the case may be in some lotion. That's not never a substitute for the real thing. It's never going to be a substitute for the real intimate
Children,
connection and
do
feedback
not
you get
try this at
from your
home
partner.
alone, guys. Okay.
It's
Thank
no substitute. All right.
thank you, Monique.
There's nothing like getting
Hmm.
intimate with your partner when there's feelings involved and you care about each other in your relationship. That's what that
Absolutely.
exclusivity provides. The fact that when one of you is horny or both of you are horny, you could do something about it with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, if you're in a healthy relationship, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. Like I guess I have, and I'm not there with them, so I'm not. We're obviously seeing things that are edited. I guess I'm wondering. My thought and my concern for his woman for Sandia is it a healthy connection that the two of them are making, and is he going to be? Because from what I've seen thus far, the little bit I've seen from the edited scenes, I feel like he is manipulative. I feel like Chris is a manipulator, and I'm concerned for her.
Okay. So do you think she should quit the relationship?
Mm, that's a good question. I think she should try one more time to talk to him. I think he said that, after the last, you recall, was it last week when they met with the counselor and he said that he was going to try to listen to her more and not be so dismissive. I think the one other thing that I would have a conversation, I don't know if she's talked to him about this, is that she needs a little more affection and attention public, like, PDAs, public displays of affection, right? Like, I don't mind, you're my man. I don't mind you putting your arm around my waist. I don't mind you coming up alongside me and giving me a kiss on my cheek in front of everybody. I don't mind that because some people do. And I feel like the way she's always fawning over him and touching him, that she's a very physical woman and she would probably like it reciprocated. And yet I don't see that with him. He's just making these kind of crude remarks in front of everybody in the kitchen about, what he wants to do to tap that behind or whatever. Like, I thought that was kind of crude.
Okay, cool. So like I said, if in my opinion, if you're in a relationship, then you naturally have to express, communicate the way you feel, especially when it comes to being affectionate, amorous, horny, whatever the case may be. Like,
Hmm.
communicate with your partner. If you're on the same page, then nature will take its course. If you're not on the same page, someone's more prudish or more stuck up or wants to wait and wants to have 10 hours of phone time and romantic dinners and everything every time you get intimate.
Mm-mm.
At
No,
least have the conversation so you kind of know where each other stand, and then you won't be at loggerheads. You won't be at opposite ends of the. Yeah.
Thank you for breaking that down, brother. Loggerheads. I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You have to, and it is really true because I think a lot of times in relationships we expect our partner to be mind readers, right? And I think that's where a lot of miscommunication comes in at. So you have to kind of, I hate to use this word, and it's probably a better word, but for lack of it right now in the moment, I'm going to say sometimes we have to train our partners on how to treat us. We have to teach them. Maybe I'll say it that way. We have to try to teach them, and then we have to find out if they're open to being taught, and if they're willing to do the things that we like having done. Just like on the flip side, maybe she gives him a back rub or a massage of his shoulders when he comes in from work. We're working together as a team, right? That's what I'm saying. It's
Hmm.
not, and I'm not saying that he has to take her out to a romantic dinner every night to be intimate with her. That's not what I'm saying, because I don't believe in transactional relationships. Those are unhealthy. So, like, you're not buying my love, you're not buying my intimacy. But I do think that I just don't see him really being affectionate with her. That's the thing I'm concerned about. And she seems to really want that because she's being very affectionate with him in front of everybody. Like she's really clearly letting everybody know this is my man. I care for him. I'm into him, right?
Hmm.
And you're
Okay.
just talking about these people have been online for months and some of them years.
Mm,
So at the same token, now we're here in person. Now is the time for us. We can finally be physical with one another. And what better way to be physical but to be affectionate and not really care who's looking? I mean, I'm not talking about being, what I'm saying, within reason. A kiss on
mm,
the cheek, a kiss on the forehead, an arm around the waist, hand holding, all of that stuff is cool
mhm.
in my opinion.
Okay. So again, she's the one that's being more affectionate than he is,
Hmm.
and he's a manipulator and all of that. Do you think she should stay in that relationship? Because at the moment, I'm not seeing any healthy relationships on the show, but I just want to know in this particular one,
Oh, in
do
this
you think,
particular one,
yeah, do you
no,
think
no,
Sandia needs to leave, or do you think she should stay? Because he ain't gonna change. He ain't
yeah,
gonna
no, she
change.
needs to leave then, because he's never going to give her what she requires. And the sad part about it is she seems to be stuck in this mode and this idea that he's a Haitian man and she's a Haitian woman, and somehow that's supposed to be a monolith, and somehow he's supposed to be the man that she wants just because he's Haitian and she's attracted to him. I don't agree with that. I think that, yeah, I think Sandia should leave him alone.
Okay, cool.
Those are my thoughts on that. So yeah.
Hmm.
So with that being said, uh Aaron and Jody in the next scene are discussing Jody's intimacy issues, and she's talking about how she was raped. You guys following what I'm saying, right? Um, and he seems to be one thing about Aaron. He seems to be very willing to listen to Jody. He seems to be very attentive when she speaks to him, and we see like a softer side of her as she's explaining things. Um, and then we move on to the next scene. Greg asks Chris if he wants to resolve the argument with Millie, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And if you want to take it from there.
Well, again, we see another flare up because Chris and Millie sit down together and discuss the incident that took place, and um, Millie didn't appreciate the fact that when he went to get opinions on what he was talking about, he skipped her opinion, which in her mind felt she was being shushed or silenced. So that triggered her and made her come at him aggressively. And then the B word comes out, and more hostility and more drama. And this is despite him saying, look, I don't need to argue with a woman. I'm not going to. And he gets up and proceeds to leave. And then she starts further trying to provoke him. You can never handle a woman like me. Of course he does. Of course he can't. That's why he's with Sandia. He doesn't want a woman like that. And then, even when he does go upstairs, she follows him and continues to berate him. So this is not your man, but you still can't be keeping up that level of hostility. And by the fact that you are, means that you're traumatized by whatever you went through. And unfortunately, unless you correct that or you try and move past that, Greg's going to be the next one to pay. Greg's going to suffer if he stays with Millie. That's for sure.
Mm. What was said in this fight, Millie, it's interesting. You begin to see how distorted her thought pattern is, right? As an objective viewer, and I feel I am objective, because she's telling him, "Well, I called you that, yeah." Like when I love the way I got to give Chris credit. Like in this episode, he kind of came off as the hero and as the good guy. I'll say the good guy, not the hero, but the good guy. So when he's talking to Millie, he's talking in calm, lowered tones, like regular conversational tones. Would you agree with that, Jr.?
Yep. Which
in
she
the
may have
beginning
found
at the
patronizing.
table, at the
Right.
table
Which
when
she
he
may
sits
have
down.
found patronizing or took offense to anyway, because it's Chris.
Yeah, I may be. And so she tells him, he said, well, during this discussion and this argument, you call me the B word. And she says, yes, I did. And she kind of has a smile on her face. She starts smiling and chuckling like, okay. And so she says, well, I called you the B word. And it starts off okay because she's like explaining herself now. She says, because you went around the room and you pointed to this person and you pointed to that person. And then when you got to me, you pointed to me. And when I started talking, in order to shut me down, you just kind of tried to shut me down and dismiss me. So I felt like you called me the B, so I called you the B. And I'm like, yeah, but he didn't call you a B.
Exactly.
He may have, and I'm going to be fair because Chris he is dismissive. We've seen him be dismissive with his girl, and he did try to cut her off as she was speaking. He did. But my thing is, because he tried to cut you off, I feel like somebody tries to cut me off. I got a bigger mouth. I can run you over with my mouth if I want to, and I still don't have to call you a B. Like
Well,
when does that become the equivalent that you do this? So then I ramp it up and I start name calling. I don't believe in that ramping up stuff for no reason.
yeah.
And
Well,
that's where I'm upset with. I thought Millie was wrong. But then further, let me just say, Millie goes, so he leaves the room. He says, well, I'm going to leave. And that seemed to be another part that kind of caused her. That's when she started getting to the agitated part and she started calling him a B again. But he left out and went to the billiard room with the guys where they were playing pool. And he says, he's telling her guy, Greg, what happened. And then she comes storming in again. And now she's saying, well, not only are you a B, but you got a little bleep. Your member down there. It's small. It's small. It's itty bitty. It ain't gonna do nothing. It's smaller than my baby finger. And I'm like, well, when did we start talking up under people's clothes? You have
yeah.
broken two major rules right there.
And
What
do
is
you
going
know the
on?
other rule she broke? The other rule she broke was she said, you only deal with weak bitches. Which
Oh
means
yeah,
that she's
thank you.
implying that Sandia is
She,
a weak bitch. So now she's calling Sandia a bitch too.
yes, I was like, what? Like, either that, because I had a thought that came to me in that moment. I thought the same thing about Sandia, but then I thought, is she calling Sandia weak, or is she calling Jody weak, or is she calling both of them weak?
Exactly.
Like,
That's why it's out of order. No matter how you slice it, she shouldn't be calling no one that. And unfortunately, especially in modern times, me being a man, I know that if I trigger some ladies, the first thing they're going to reach for is some type of emasculation or disrespect or hostility or anything like that. And sometimes, I'm not trying to entertain it, and then I'll get seen as dismissive and everything else. Or like I said, the other side of it is if I match the energy and say, you know what, shut your mouth, don't talk to me like that, or something similar, then I'm sassy, right? So Chris can't win. If he sat down and argued with her, she would have continued the verbal assault. He walked away, tried to tell her, man, listen, your girl's hostile. Can you talk to your girl, please? And she came in and just not only continued to disrespect him, but now disrespected the lady that he's dating, and came with all of that. And Sandia later on in the episode said, listen, you can disagree with each other, that's fine, but the name calling, you have to stop that. That's a problem. Don't be calling people names, because it's usually the case that the most hostile people are the most fragile. You say one thing to them and they're going off the deep end, but they are the ones that like to bring it to you and be hostile and emotionally charged. And you can't really bring them down for that. They have to bring themselves down, calm themselves down. And when they can speak rationally, if they haven't said anything too disrespectful or offensive, then you can listen to them. But if they go overboard and want to cuss you out, disrespect you and all that stuff continually, you can't give that a pass, because they'll see you as a B for giving them a pass now. So now they're always going to punk you in that way.
True. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that because Millie is not his woman, and he only has maybe another week to go in the house with her. He'll never have to see her ever again in life. Um, I felt like with the thing that you said a moment ago, hey, you don't speak to me that way, and a walk away would have sufficed. Like he said, and then he did say, I'm not going to go back and forth. But then she came and followed him into the other room. At that point, I gotta say, I'm feeling like everything is fair game, because if you coming at me, following me for a fight, I'm gonna give you a damn fight. You calling me bees, you calling me, you talking about my, him, for him anyway, because I don't have one, but his member is small, and blah blah blah. You talking under
Why
my
would that
clothes,
even be
period.
a concern of hers? Why would that even be on
Exactly.
her mind for her to say that?
Oh, and wait a minute. Yes. And then did you hear her when she said, you could never be with a woman like me? You wish you could never be with a woman like me. I'm like, why is she thinking so highly of her damn self?
Yeah,
Like,
he don't
first
want a
of all,
woman like that.
he's not even here for you. What are you talking about?
Exactly. That's what I mean. He's not
It was
even here for her.
crazy.
He's the lady he's chosen, Sandia, does not display the same behavioral characteristics of Millie
No.
or Sienna or any of these other ones that like to go off. She seems a lot more quiet, docile, a lot more people are saying she needs to find her voice more. But these ladies like what's her name, like Millie, they're hot, outspoken, bad tempered, and it always will end up in an argument or a fight with somebody like that, because that's how they are. Just like we said, Chris is a manipulator and he does this and he's not affectionate. Listen, when it comes to Millie, I mean, I had high hopes for her and Greg at first, but after seeing her meltdown and the way she continued to pop off and berate, even after the distance has been created, he's walked away. She didn't like the fact that he walked away from her now. So what's he supposed to do? Sit down there and fight and verbally go at it with her? No, that wouldn't have been a good look either. So in my opinion, just in that circumstance, Chris did the right thing. He got out of there, tried to tell her, man, look, we tried to have this conversation. You brokered the conversation between us to hash it out. Look, it's gotten worse now. So I've tried. She doesn't like me. It's cool. We just need to stay away from each other.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with all what you said about what Chris tried to do, walking away from her, just saying, okay, this is as far as it's going to go, because I'm not going to, go back and forth with her. And he informed her man, like, this is what it is. Even though you wanted us to talk and resolve things, it's clear that we're not going to be able to resolve things. And at this point, with her disrespecting me, I just don't want to talk to her at all anymore. Because he even told Sandia, right after that, he told Sandia, he says, this is what she did. And he said, no, he says, we're enemies and I don't ever want to talk to her. I never have to say it. And I'm like that. When someone has deeply disrespected me, I don't ever have to talk to you again. That's it.
Exactly. There's no reason. There's no reason for Chris and Millie to talk to each other again, right? They clearly don't like each other. She don't like him, and after what was said, she ain't gonna apologize for it either. She sees nothing wrong, so he just has to accept it and focus on his woman Sandia, and she focus on her relationship with Greg, which is looking more and more like it's heading for problems.
Oh, okay. So now I understand. Miss Wilson had said earlier, but I wasn't sure which conversation. I'm sorry. It should have been very clear. Sorry about that, Miss Wilson. She says that she feels that the conversation between Millie and Chris, there should have been a counselor present. Do you agree with that?
No, because they're not in mediation. They don't have to like each other. They're not together in a relationship. So having a counselor present for what? They need a relationship counselor for Greg and Millie. And as we saw, they sat down with someone and we'll discuss that in a few moments. But in terms of Millie and Chris, they don't need no, they just needed to be adult, mature, have a conversation about what took place. Then if they don't like each other or they don't agree,
see, you're a mess.
keep it moving. That's all they have to do. Like, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, they're both intelligent adults. It's never going to be the case where one person can raise up and go crazy on someone and they have to sit there and take it. We don't live in that
Mm,
world. I don't care. It's not a double standard like that. Everyone
mm,
is mature adults and have to carry
mhm.
yourself a certain way. And if you want to be heard, then you communicate effectively. Whether you agree or disagree, you can move on.
You know
The
what I
moment you
wonder?
start name calling and erupting on people, now
Mhm.
you're becoming verbally abusive. You
Right.
need to take yourself somewhere and go get yourself sorted out. Calm
Sort
yourself
it
down. Count to 10. Count to 100. Whatever you need to do, you need to take control of yourself and stop running
Yeah.
your mouth, because it will get you into trouble.
True, true. I agree. I wondered though too. I was just thinking. So we're gonna see the continuation of the therapy session between Millie and Greg, and I'm wondering within that session. But I don't know. She got so much to deal with the essay on both person sides apparently. I'm wondering though if the counselor would even bring into the fact that some of the aggression that we're seeing from Millie possibly could stem from her assaults, and maybe she feels this aggression toward men because she was raped by men.
Okay, it could be. I'm sure she'll reach a psychiatric evaluation or some type of assessment to conclude that, if that's the case. But
Yeah, no,
if that
it
is the
usually
case,
it
then
usually
does
takes.
she?
Go ahead.
If that is the case, then
Hmm.
is it a relationship that Greg should stay in?
Mm. Yeah. So I think here's what I was going to say about. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you, but I think with this type of just casual counseling, the therapist isn't going to give them any diagnosis of anything, but what she's there to do is to kind of give them some small tools to kind of hopefully see if they can mediate this relationship and the rocky sides to it. um, but definitely I agree, that the therapist, what she's saying is that you've got two traumatized people.
Did we get to hear what Greg's trauma actually was, or did we just see the eye rolling from Millie and that kind of cut it short?
It's going to be next week.
Okay. Did she seem like she was empathetic to his situation after asking him to be sympathetic to her?
No, no, she wasn't at all. She seemed to be actually very annoyed that he even brought anything up. Like she says, you're not taking care and comforting me. Like now you're taking it off of the attention off of me and you're focusing it on your situation. That's not
Mhm.
how you comfort me. But that's a
Right.
typical trauma response from somebody that's been in trauma who is not healed. So I when she said that, I actually, it broke my heart. I know for some people hearing it, they would have been upset. They would have thought, well, she's a selfish so and so. She's a selfish B. But it actually broke my heart because that was her. She has only got enough in her tank
For
to
herself.
for herself to basically go back into fetal position, right? a
Okay.
healthier a healthier healed person would have enough compassion and enough healedness to say, although I was talking about my assault, Greg, go ahead. And I didn't realize that because he hadn't told her. So to be fair, she didn't know that he had been assaulted. But a healthy
Okay.
person, to your point, would have said, hey, you know what, you can talk about your experience because I'm healing over here.
Mm. Did
And mhm,
did he volunteer that information, or did the therapist directly ask him?
the therapist directly asked him.
hmm Okay. And she's still mad. Millie is still mad because he opened up about his trauma after being asked by the therapist. It wasn't like he just jumped in and tried to hijack the situation and say, look, I've
No.
been through something too. No,
Hmm.
he's kept it repressed and hasn't spoken about it the entire time, probably because no one's asked him about it. And now someone has, he's choosing to reveal it now. And the eye roll said it all. Like you said, she wants the attention on her trauma.
Hmm.
Listen, if you know your trauma exists,
Hmm.
why haven't you done something about it? That's my question. A relationship is not a rehabilitation center for your trauma. It's only going to make you act out or flip out when things trigger you because those traumas are still, those wounds are still there.
Right.
So,
Guys, whose fault? Not to. I just wanted to direct those in the chat and those on the replay. Just want to get your opinion. In your opinion, whose fault was this argument? Chris or Millie? I'm sorry, you were saying?
no. It's I mean, like I said, in my opinion, this relationship that I thought was going to be probably the most successful one, which is Greg and Millie. Now, I this is in trouble, big time. Um, I think part of the reason why she probably preferred online dating, this is just my opinion, is probably because of the trauma associated with trusting someone and being vulnerable enough and healed enough to go out there and have a physical relationship. And then the online relationships carried on for a while now, 3 years. So I don't think it was entirely, maybe Greg not wanting to see her. I think she may have been comfortable having someone to speak to and basically have a virtual relationship with, but not have the physical side of it. And then now they're meeting. I think despite them having intimate times, holding hands, him reaffirming her, saying he's got her back no matter what she's going through type thing. He's been quite calm and measured with her. But until she actually overcomes what she's gone through, then she will inflict negative situations. She'll make them arise, often out of nowhere if she gets triggered. And that's a dangerous place for Greg to be. He has his own traumas, and now she has hers. So the both of you can't trigger each other, and you can't, say that my trauma is more than your trauma because it affected me like that. No. You both have to kind of work on yourselves first so that the healed version of yourself can have your relationship. If any one of them isn't healed, then the other person is going to be walking on eggshells all the time.
Yeah. It's not, because that same energy that she brought to Chris in some ways, that annoyance and that the eye rolling and her reaction to hearing. Because first of all, I thought, if nothing else, even if she's feeling that way, I thought she would have been like, she would have said, oh my God, I didn't realize this, or you didn't tell me. Because we saw them in the kitchen and she's telling him about that she had been SA'd, she had been assaulted, and he never said anything because he was trying to comfort her in that moment, because she brought it to him. But you're right. The therapist was the one who asked Greg, well, what I see seems like something's coming up for you. Can you tell us how you're feeling? And that's when he said, yeah, it's making me remember my own trauma that I've been repressing.
Exactly.
And this is so funny, because this episode this week, I got finished watching it and I was just processing it, and I just started crying. I just tears started just rolling down my face, and I'm like, what in the world? And then I had this memory of being about 18 or 19, going out to this club, and there's this guy. And one of my friends introduced me to this guy. And this particular guy turned out to be like, I mean, when I say handsome, I've only said this about 2 people that I know, but this guy was what I call movie star good looks. Like, he was perfection. Everything from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet, he was perfection. He was so gorgeous, and he was showing me attention, and we're dancing. And so I don't know how it ended up happening, because I was there with friends, but somehow or another, he kind of convinced me that he could drop me home after we left this club, right? And I said, okay. Like, he told me where he lived, and he lived maybe about 2 or 3 miles from where I lived in Northwest Detroit. So not a big difference, you know. So he says, okay, well, I'll take you home. And his father was with them. So that's the thing that made me kind of feel comfortable, because I met the father and he was like, you know, just this old cooler guy. So I'm like, okay. So I go ride in the car to go home with this guy, go to my home. He's going to drop me home. And instead he says, as we get closer to where he lives, he says, well, why don't you come by the house for just a minute? I'm going to get you home. Another 5 minutes. You come by the house, and you know, so you can see where I live or whatever, yada yada yada. And I'm like, at this point, I'm kind of like, nah, this gnawing feeling in the back of my head is going, nah, this ain't cool. But I kind of went along with it. I go in willingly. And the next thing you know, he's, you know, he's moving up on me, he's kissing me. Like, and the kiss was fine. The kiss was consensual, right? Because he does have those movie star good looks and all those muscles on his body. So I'm interested. So we start kissing. And normally it's a little fast for me, but you know, we're kissing. And the next thing you know, like he's like trying to do more than that. And I'm like, no, that's enough. Would you take me home? And he's like, okay. But then he pulls me closer and he's like, no, you're not going home now. And that's when I just started fighting for my life. I'm like, oh, hell no. You, not tonight. And I'm fighting and I'm fighting. This guy is big. This guy's like 6'2", maybe, probably, you know, 190 pounds. And I'm like all of like a buck 15.
Mhm.
But I managed to get out the house. I think his father was in the other room and he said, hey, what's going on? And it distracted him. And I was able to get the door open, get out the house. And I'm walking home at like 2 something in the morning in Detroit by myself, and I'm upset. And it was a couple of times where there were men on the other side of the street, and it's like they looked at me like I looked like somebody they could be easy target. And I don't know. I honestly believe in my faith that God just covered me and his angels covered me that night, because I walked all the way home. And when I got there, my father was sitting in the living room waiting for me because I was well past curfew. And the only thing I can remember is my father. He did not fuss at me. He did not let me have it like he normally would. And he just asked me, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. I want to go to my room. And then the next morning, he asked me again, are you okay? And I said, I'm okay, Dad. That brought all of that back from when I was 18. I cried so much that night. I just cried. And I hope I'm not just messing anybody up here, but I had to share that. I had to share that because I think that there are so many women and there are so many men, because I've talked to men, my friends, that have also been assaulted. And it's such a painful, traumatic thing. But I felt like, because of the fact that it wasn't completed, you know what I'm saying? The act that he tried to commit on me, I felt like I was fortunate in that, and that I never wanted to be ever in that situation again. But that brought all that back, because I promise you I haven't thought of that in probably 30 years. I promise you.
Mm. I'm sorry to hear that. It's a very sad experience, a very bad experience.
Thank you
So,
guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, JR.
mhm. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, so this episode, it's like you've already got two women. And here's the other thing though, I'm thinking, JR. I'm wondering when because we get to in this episode, we get to where after Jody has told her guy Aaron that she has been assaulted, and this is the reason why she has these preset strong boundaries with him and with every man, right? But
Mhm.
then she keeps calling herself this man eater. So I'm kind of like, there's such a contradiction. When she's talking to her girlfriend, she's the man eater. When she's talking to Aaron, you know, it's a different side of her. And I understand that we're all complex people. I do understand that we are all complex people, and we have different sides to us. But the thing that I was wondering in this week's episode is I never saw Jody and Millie in the room together to have the conversation to know that they had both been assaulted and what that might have felt like for both of them. Maybe they would have been more of a comfort and commiserated with each other as two women who've been through it. Does that kind of make a little bit of sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. A problem shared is a problem halved. So if they're both carrying situations that are heavy on them, weighing heavy on them at the moment, then
Yes.
maybe confiding in each other would be better than trying to confide in your partner
Yes.
and expecting them to do 100% of the work to fix the situation. Maybe just offloading that with someone who's been through a similar experience
Yes.
would kind of reduce the amount of energy and tension in those repressed memories.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you bring it to your partner may not see it through the same lens, and that may be triggering. And then if they do any behaviors like move the bed closer and try to snuggle up with you at night, and that's a boundary that you don't want to be crossed, then now you're going to let him have it with both barrels for trying to initiate something that probably in some people's minds it wouldn't have been a trigger point.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is for Jody in that instance, then clearly from what she said so far, it seems like she's been quite comfortable just basically having one night stands or as very little intimacy as possible, but
Yes.
still going out there and doing her thing whenever she feels, whenever she gets the urge, whenever she gets horny or whatever, there's a guy that can satisfy her need, and then she'll dash him after that need's been satisfied.
Mm. Mm.
Well, that's what I associate a man-eater to be. You're
Oh,
basically
okay.
not attaching yourself emotionally. You are basically just there when you need when you get that itch, you need someone to
Mm-hmm.
scratch it for you. That's it. And then when it comes to building an intimate connection in a
Oh,
relationship, you struggle because your walls are so high that you don't want to let them down to be vulnerable enough to have a connection emotionally or intimately with your partner.
right, right, right. I want to bring Jody up, but I'm trying to figure out how I did this last. Uh, Let me see. How did I do this last week? Because I tried to do it from my phone and I wasn't able to. So just 1 second. You can keep talking. I'm just trying to figure this out real quick.
Mm. Well,
You
yeah,
you
yeah,
you.
the other thing that Jody revealed is that she went into her profession as a sexologist to try
Mhm.
and learn the correct way to have intimacy and proceed forward in that way. But clearly, it hasn't helped because she's still stuck in a place where she doesn't feel like she is ready to open up. And I'm not saying there's a time limit or anything like that, but if you're in a relationship, then like I said, there are other aspects to a relationship other than just talking and you know um, going on dates. And at some point you're going to be alone together, and at some point you're going to feel amorous or want to touch or hug or kiss or hold or some other display of affection. And if those are off limits, then it's going to affect your relationship negatively going forward.
Okay, I figured it out and I got it over to Aaron H real quick. And before he comes up, because we got most of this covered, what I had in my notes, the one thing that came to me that we didn't cover, let's go back to the scene. We've got Aaron J's father there, and he finally meets Jody. But before he meets Jody, who decides to give their interpretation or opinion of everything is who? Aaron H. Like he's going to tell the father this is what you're gonna see when you see her. This is what it is. And I love that Aaron J's dad was like this laid back, cool kind of fella that basically kind of shaded Aaron in his own way. Like, yeah, okay, that's what you think. Do you feel like this way? You're the father figure for all of these guys, or just my son? And I love the way he said it. Like, all of these guys, all of these men here, or just my son, because this is my son, and I know him. But it was such light, classy shade. I really like Aaron J's dad. But so then we see them go into the living room or den, and he's talking to Jody, and he's asking her what does she think the potential is for a future. And Aaron, Jody says, "Well, I think as long as there's no outside forces." What did you make of that, Jr.?
Well, first of all, I would say you're not the only one that liked Aaron's dad. It seemed like Jody liked Aaron's dad too, more than she liked Aaron J.
I
You
thought
know,
about that too.
listen, I guarantee you, if Aaron J ever just came up and said, "You know what,
Yes,
let's
girl,
salsa
Elsie,
dance,"
yes.
grab her and start twisting and twirling her and all that stuff,
Woo!
I guarantee you she would
You can
shut that
salsa
down.
with me, Daddy.
Like
Yeah.
she would shut that down because she's not attracted to him. So she would give him the whole, you know what, you just crossed the boundary and I'm not ready for that and all that other stuff. But with the dad, who she doesn't know at all, meeting for the first time, she was open and vulnerable enough to allow him to twist and twirl her and all the other stuff that they did. So she clearly liked the dad. You know what? And this is on a lighter note. When I saw the dad and I saw Aaron next to him, you know what it reminded me of? Is it "Don't Be a Menace" to South Central
Uh-huh.
when the dad's younger than the son? Yeah, like so it kind of reminded me of that because the dad does look like a young father, but still quite mature and level-headed about the situation. He didn't allow himself to get influenced by Aaron H's depiction of Jody. Um, and
Kimberly's in here. Oh, hey, Kimberly. Go ahead.
and I feel like the dad gave her the benefit of the doubt, got to know her himself, and
Yeah.
he came across as having more of a positive outlook on Jody and Aaron's
Yeah,
relationship. I
he
do
did.
think there was some element of putting
hmm
on for by both of them though. I don't think Jody acted the
Mm,
same way she does to Aaron J in private, that in
okay.
the same way that she did in front of the father. And I don't think Aaron J did that either when he was talking to his dad about Jody and what he's been up to with her and things. I don't think he adequately depicted the true nature of what their relationship experience has been from what we've seen. So they both talked up, put on a front, put on a show, and the dad, you know, came across as thinking that this relationship might have a chance to work. So I think he liked Jody. Jody clearly liked him. The best friend as well, she was cool.
hmm
But still, between Jody and Aaron themselves, there's a lot of work. They are far, far apart in terms of where they should be, attraction, chemistry wise, connection wise. They are nowhere near, what I would consider to be close to forming a real proper relationship.
Okay. Aaron H was here to come up. Let me see if I can get him back. I think I was waiting for the right moment to introduce him. Let's see if I can get him back. But in the meantime, so what did you think of the salsa dancing? What about that salsa dancing when he said, could I lead you in a salsa dance? A lot of people are saying that Jody wants her man to be a leader, and because he doesn't seem to have the confidence, um, Aaron J is not able to lead her.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I see it a different
Mhm.
way. I don't think it matters whether Aaron J's a leader or not, if he's the more masculine in a relationship between her and him or not. The fact is she has experienced something previously
Mm-hmm.
prior to meeting him, and it's going to affect her outlook and the way she behaves in the relationship, regardless of who he shows up as. So she may want a stronger guy, which is why there was the obvious attraction to Chris. But I don't think someone like Chris could necessarily handle the ups and downs that a Jody may bring, like the confusing stuff that she says.
Mm-hmm.
Um, most, like, if someone said, they're a qualified sexologist, um, you having studied it, learned it, graduated, all the rest of the stuff you've done to get your position, earn money from it, be good at your job. When you're at home and you're in your private, intimate settings with the person that you're in a relationship with, if there's that barrier and hurdle, then you should be able to not self-diagnose, but you should be able to work on yourself based on the knowledge you've learned. Otherwise, it's going to waste, because you're out there counseling other couples, but you got big problems of your own.
Mm. Well, I don't know. I guess he's not able to make it back. Yeah, you're right. You've gotta work on yourself. All of us have to. Whether we've been through something as traumatic as what these ladies have been through, all of us have been through something, some childhood trauma, some adult trauma, and you want to get to a place where you're healing. And healing could be a continuous journey throughout the rest of your life, but you want to get to a good enough place where you can have healthy relationships, if that's what you want to do, to have healthy relationships with the opposite sex, be able to talk with men and women and feel like you're in a healthy place and you're not afraid in a situation where there's not any necessity for fear. Like, I'm not saying you're in a dark alley and you're saying, well, I feel no fear, so I'm going to walk down this dark alley by myself. No, but you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there should be situations and environments where you feel comfortable as you're starting to heal from uh this SA, this assault that happened,
Right.
because at the end of the day, you want to come out of it. The prayer is that we all come out of it as survivors and thriving in life, as opposed to not no one, I don't think, really wants to see themselves as a perpetual lifelong victim. You don't.
But until you overcome it and heal from it, get help for it, you are going to be a continual victim of it. You're going to get reminders of it. It's going to put you back in that place, that space.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. So yeah, um, if you don't want to be a victim anymore, then you have to overcome it. It may be difficult, and you may need to do it alone. But there's, unfortunately, if Jody, for example, like I said, has experienced something that traumatic, then it's very unfortunate. But are you going to be able to get into a relationship and have things happen that don't remind you of that, or get you to a place where you're punishing the guy you're with for something that someone else did to you prior?
Mm-hmm. And then also in this episode, we have Aaron J. What the idea that Aaron J. The fellows kind of talk to Aaron J. and say, "Well, listen, all of us are now sleeping in the rooms with our girl." So I think what kind of seems to have happened, since two of the couples were removed, right, and we're down to five couples, it seems to me as if they must have about five bedrooms, and now these couples have made some kind of agreement. Well, hey, she can come in the room that I used to share with you. You can go over there with your girl, your woman, right? And that's appears to be what's happening with every couple except for except for Jody and Aaron J, right? So the guys kind of get together and have a town hall and say, well, look, we think that you should push your bed by Jody's bed, and you should start to kind of cuddle with your woman, so forth and so on. Now, I'm not sure why Aaron J, knowing this, why he thought it was okay to do that. Do you know why? Do you have any idea?
Nah, I think it's like I said, if you want someone to take the lead and they try to initiate some type of intimacy or some type of nighttime activity or whatever the case may be, maybe it was just a kiss and a cuddle. If you're not ready for that, then just let it be known, and then the incident won't happen anymore. You won't have to share a bed. You won't have the hugs and kisses. You can do without it. Cool. If that's something he needs, then you're going to meet that fork in the road where one of you is going to have to decide what's best for you personally in terms of moving forward. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the outside influence thing that I think Jody was referring to. It was outside influences that basically egged on Aaron, like to move the bed and do, make that move. And when she obviously woke up, she was completely insulted, angry that he even tried to do it. Even though he was apologetic, I think he kind of took it well and, don't do it again.
Yeah.
While everyone's sleeping in the bed with their partners,
mm-hmm.
She wants to sleep by herself. She loves her sleep. And as a result of that, he has to sleep by himself.
Okay. Yeah, Elsa brings up a good point. I'm sorry, I may have misspoke. Did Jody tell Aaron J after he tried to do that the next morning, or did she talk to him about her assault before he did that? I'm not sure.
The next morning, she talked about how
okay,
it affected her and it brought back feelings.
Okay. Well, all right. So that's a good point. That's a very good point. Let's see. Let me get back up here and see if there's anything else. And then last but not least, the sit down with Millie and Greg with the counselor. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's see if we can pick some more things out of it that we noticed that happened. You say that Millie, she was rolling her eyes. Why do you think that was? Why would she roll her eyes when he made his comment about his own trauma?
Because she don't want to hear that.
She didn't want to hear that.
No, she probably thought with her revealing her trauma to the therapist, it would be solely about her and how he should kind of handle being in a relationship with her, despite what she shared. But the therapist, I guess, to bring balance to the situation, asked about his personal trauma, if he's experienced any. And again, that took the spotlight off Millie and what she was sharing. And there was no compassion there whatsoever. It was a rolling of the eyes and, a very disinterested disposition. So she don't care about him and what he's gone through. She just wants to know what he's going to do for her to help her with her situation.
Okay, we've got him back in now. Thanks, Aaron. My apologies. I wasn't trying to be rude or anything at all. So let's bring him up on the stage. Hey there, how you doing today, sir?
All right. How about yourself?
I'm good. Yeah, we just had some questions for you related to this episode. JR, you wanna kick it off and start with the with the sister situation? Because we see the continuation.
Who shot JR? What's going on?
I'm cool, bro. How you doing? You all right?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thanks for asking.
Good, bro. Okay, yeah. So obviously the episode kicked off with like the continuation of the back and forth between you and Dymond's sister friend, whoever she is. I was gonna ask first of all, like, when you made the apology to Dymond for your part in the situation, do you feel she was receptive to it, or did she seem disinterested?
No, I think she was receptive.
Okay, because from what we saw, she kind of just sat there and didn't really make any reaction to it. She didn't really embrace you or anything like that to say she forgave you. So it seemed like she was just gonna listen to what you said, but then still hold you accountable for going off on her friend. When in my opinion, it looked like her friend was kind of going off on you too.
Dymond was a little I'll say upset at the time, because the sister and I they wouldn't do that. I told her I wouldn't. She talked to me and I said,
okay.
Oh,
There's
wow.
something wrong with your sound quality, bro.
Yeah, no, he dropped off. I think when he popped in, I think he might have been in transition in his car.
Okay.
And I think so he might have hit a bad spot. So hopefully he'll pop back in. We'll wait and see if he's able to pop back in. Yeah, but so you were saying we're speaking about Millie, so I'll put that back up. We're speaking about Millie, and you were saying that you just didn't see any of the compassion or anything that Millie had for her guy Greg.
It wasn't the same way that Greg showed compassion for her when he heard her story.
Yes. Okay. Aaron's popping back in. Okay.
Okay. I don't know. What was the last thing you heard me say?
Nothing. We heard nothing. We heard nothing. There was some sound distortion.
Okay. What I was saying was, she was a little upset at the time because her sister and I said that we wouldn't do that. I know I told her that I would be calm, and I wasn't going to do it. But however, the emotions got the best of me, and I couldn't hold back no longer. But so I think she was a little upset with us both. She was hurt because even though I look at the sister friend sideways, for Dymond, I guess she loves her. So she was hurt that the two people that she loved, was into it with each other. But I'm going to say, listening to y'all and some of the people that's listening, yeah, she kind of knew that was going to happen because she knew how the sister was. And then I, at one point, told her that if she comes on that show, I'm going to let her have it. So it really shouldn't have really been a surprise to her at all.
Oh, so you did tell your lady, you did tell your lady Dymond that, hey, listen, if she comes on here and she starts a mess, I'm gonna finish it, basically.
Yep. I certainly did.
Detroit style.
You want to bring the smoke, I'm gonna make sure to start the fire.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. So, like, how do you think you could have handled the situation differently? And how would you have done it differently if there was a do-over?
If there was a do-over, I would probably just sit there with a smile on my face. I don't think it's anything that I could have did to change her situation. There is a you guys would probably have to go on YouTube. There's another part of this that her and Dymond talking that they aired, and she told Dymond literally that that it was going to, whatever I said was going to go in one ear and out the other. So my thing was, what was the point of you being on the show? Because it doesn't matter what I say. So I would have definitely had to be the bigger man. In this case, I'm gonna say I was not the bigger man. I didn't handle that right. But I would have definitely had to be the bigger man to let her come on there, pretty much dog me out, and then walk away like she did something. And then she'll forever walk away and tell people how she set me straight. And I knew what was going to take place. I would have had to be a bigger person for that. And I can tell you right now, at that moment, I was not the bigger person because you're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna let you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
yeah, I definitely would have, if I could go back on the hands of time, I would have handled it a lot differently. But at the time, I'm human, and emotions was flaring. She was talking stuff to me. I could hear it in the next room. When me and Ronald was playing pool, we could hear exactly what she was saying. And yeah, so when I walked into that room, that's why I asked her, I've never met you. So what is all the attitude for?
Mm-hmm.
And Aunt Esther with the turning of the head and all that other kind of stuff. No, no, we finna stop this right now, right now.
But now,
So
Aaron, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
Aaron, as a man, do you think that is there any way that you could just walk away and just say, look, let her have that? Because what I don't want to do is ruin the relationship that I have with my woman, and also just not appear, to appear sassy. Could you just have walked away? Like, but I'm gonna tell you something. There's a point where she called, when she started talking about and I think she didn't say mommy or mom. She said mammy, which is an
Yeah,
insult, and your
yeah,
daddy. But when she got to the kids, I was ready to fight her.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. There was a thing that I could walked away, and I know that people looking at me like you arguing with a woman, but I didn't look at her as no woman at that point in time. She was just a nobody to me. And if you can, if and don't forget, I've stated this a few times. This didn't just happen right then. This is over a almost 2 year span that she was doing this, and I was staying quiet, and I
Mm.
wasn't saying nothing and letting her have it. But if you thought that you was finna come on national TV and do that to me, I'm not gonna let you do it.
Yeah,
You know
that's
that
true.
that 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 was the thing. Now I may look funny to people, I may look sassy and all this, and he coming at a woman like that, but they don't know what I dealt with for that span of time. Now, as far as Diamond is concerned, if you walk away from me because I checked your friend that shouldn't have been in our business in the first place, then you deserve to go.
Mm-hmm.
You
I agree.
deserve to go.
Yep.
Because if that right there is what was going to make you walk away from me, then you wasn't with me in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yep.
okay, I feel you. Yeah, because at some point, most of our chat has been asking. I'm sure people will ask on the replay in the comment section, like, where was her protection for you? Like, just like she wanted you to have her back. If you're her partner, you're her team member. You guys are a team. Why doesn't she have your back?
Well, this this is true, but my saying, I'm gonna stick behind Diamond whether she's right or wrong, and I'm gonna fuss at her in private. But
Mm-hmm. Okay.
we've had this conversation, and everybody is subject to error. Nobody's perfect. Everybody does things wrong that we may look at sideways, but I love her enough not to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Jr. You get that? What he's saying?
Yeah, I understand it. I mean, like I said, it's a no-win situation. Like if he sits down there and tolerates what she was saying when he wasn't in the room, and then now in his face, in front of his friend, she's still going at him like that. There's not many people, male or female.
Yeah.
I don't think many people will be able to hold their mouth and just walk away and count to 100 and not react to it.
Yeah,
But
it's a difficult thing, and if you notice, not to cut you off, Jr. I'm sorry. If you notice, and I didn't even know that when I watched the show, even when I left, she still had to say my mammy again,
Mhm.
again. I wasn't even in there.
Mm. Oh wow! No, I didn't catch that. Okay, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
said it.
I did at the end. Yeah, she sure did. Yeah, I'm offended
Yeah,
by certain terms in our vocabulary as Americans, like the N word. That's liable to incite me. I literally professionally almost got into a fight with a Caucasian over that word, and I didn't care what I lost. That's how serious I'm at. Don't call me the N word. I don't care if you're black or white. I'm not an N. Maybe your friends are, maybe your homies are. I'm not. Mm-mm. Am not and never have been and never will be.
Yeah, she did. And to go back on something I heard you say, and I think I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again.
Hmm.
It was not a couple days when I went back to say something to Jody. It was in about 5 minutes. But of course, editing is something else. It was 5. It was 5 minutes from that happening.
Mm, okay.
So
Uh,
Diamond went around the table, and I mean, Diamond said what she said. She said, "Hey, did nobody uh, protect me? Or nobody said nothing." She walked into the room where I was. We sat on the couch. She said something to me. I walked right back into the kitchen. That's how quick that happened.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that happened very quickly.
Hmm.
But because of the way they show the show, it makes it look like it was a day later or 2 days later and all that. No,
No,
negative.
I kind of figured it looked like it felt
Yeah.
to me. It felt like as a viewer, even though it was the next episode, it felt like a continuation. It did.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. But I can understand how it looks because I'm looking at it. A lot of people out there don't realize just because we was there doesn't mean we know how it's going to look when it comes out because editing makes it look like and I'm quite sure we all can sit there and say that didn't happen like that. Every last one of us that didn't happen like that because it just didn't happen like that. But that's the way it looks.
Okay. Well, we got some more questions for you in this week's episode. And my next question for you, have Jr. Did you get everything you needed out of the whole fight scene, or because I don't want to cut you off?
no, no. Listen, I'm good. I'm trying to stay out of. I'm trying to say as little as possible, so I don't get tempted. So
Why you say
you go
that,
ahead.
Not Jr.
Go ahead over.
Somebody
Okay.
go shoot you,
Yeah, everybody's gonna be gunning for me. So
JR.
go on, Aubrey.
Yeah. Now I wanna know. Okay, so we see Aaron J. His father came in this week to visit, and Jody's best friend came to visit. And as soon as he gets in the kitchen with all the fellas, you kind of come up to him and introduce yourself and let him know that you're Aaron J. You kind of like the counselor, the father figure in the house, and you feel that way. You feel sort of like a father figure to him, whilst his father is not there, right? Clearly. And you begin to tell him your thoughts on Jody. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what made you think that was okay to like kind of taint his before he's even introduced to her?
Well, it's more to that than meets the eye. I'm just gonna say, but
Mm,
uh, yeah, I asked him about it, and I was probably the right person to ask him about it because, of course, I didn't care for Jody,
mm-hmm.
and so I seen things that Aaron wasn't seeing. That's the way I felt. I seen stuff that he wasn't seeing. And as far as the father's concerned, again, you have to realize that I'm just watching the show like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say, but I'm old school. It's not. I'm not going to talk to my dad and tell him I'm going to smash somebody. That's not a conversation me and my dad is going to have like that. Now these kids now got more of an open relationship, I guess, with their parents.
Some
But
of
that's
them do, yeah.
right there.
Mhm.
That listen. I would have had to put that one finger up and walk out. Okay, because that's just not the
He,
conversation that I'm going to have with my dad. I mean, not in the way that he was talking to his dad like his dad was his friend. And there's one thing that my father always taught me, and that is if you play with a dog, he'll lick you in the mouth, and if you play with a kid, he'll sass you out. Either you're going to be a parent or a friend, one of the two. You can't be both.
you know what? Now I gotta stop you right there. I got to interject right there, not stop you, but just interject.
Go ahead.
As,
Go
as a
ahead.
parent of two grown kids, a son and a daughter, right? I always said that too. Like I'm like you. I'm very old school, very authoritarian about parenting. That's how I was raised. I know it's probably not the way millennials are going to raise or are going to raise their children, and that's fine because I can see where things change and there's a better way. Some people call it gentle parenting, all that stuff, right? But I do stick by this. So when my kids were young and they were growing up and they were minors, I said, I'm your parent. I'm not trying to be your friends because we go to ball games. My daughter played basketball. She ran track. She was like a ace athlete, right? And
Mm,
people were just like being friends with their parents. And I felt like, and I told my kids, I said, listen, I'm not your friend. I'm not trying to be your friend. I got my own friends, and hopefully you got your own too. I said, now fast forward when you graduated, you've done the work, you got your own home, and you can invite me to have some tea or coffee at your place. Maybe then we can look at being friends. Because I figure if they're self-sufficient, we're never ever going to be equals in that sense, but we can begin to work on our adult relationship at that point.
I can understand that, but I can tell you this: at 53 now, I'm well grown, and it's still certain things that I don't do around my parents. I have never took a drink of anything except water, soda, or pop, as we call it, in front of my parents. I do not cuss in front of my parents. I do not talk sexual in front of my parents. It is a certain aspect of my parents I just do not cross. I have never told my parents no. They have never called my name and I said the word what to my parents.
All of that.
Like,
Aaron,
what do you want? Like,
we're
no.
twins. We're twins, Aaron. All
Yeah.
of that. All of that.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
with you.
no.
I'm with you.
But these kids now, they hang out with their parents. They go to clubs with the parents, and the mothers are trying to outdo the daughters in the clubs and wearing stuff shorter than they wearing, and all the other kind of stuff. Now, that's a negative. So
Okay.
Aaron and his dad seems to, and I don't know that. I'm just going from what I seen. They
Yeah,
seem
what
to
we
have
saw.
more of a friendship, um, uh, parent relationship than anything. And I wonder by watching the two interact if Aaron was raised in the house with his dad.
That's what my question. I've been wondering. I've been wondering that too. That's a very good question. And of course, it's not something you're just gonna walk up and ask his dad.
And
But
right,
yeah,
exactly.
I would hope that maybe the next week's episode we get a little more information about their relationship when Aaron J was growing up. That's a very good,
Mhm.
because if you didn't grow up with your dad in the household, or maybe just part time you spent with your dad, you feel like
Then
that
you have a different relationship with him.
different relationship. Okay.
Yeah, you have a
Okay.
different relationship with him. Because I see people that wasn't growing up in the house with their parents call them by their first name. I've seen it. And so like I say,
Oh
Aaron is a good guy. He's a
no.
good young man. But I've seen it. Matter of fact, I got friends. They got all kind of little nicknames now. So I had a friend that called his mama. Yeah, I got to go see my old bird. You call your mama old bird?
What?
Yeah, that's what they call him, old bird. I was like, ain't no way in heck I'm about to call my mama old bird. That mammy, one of them birds got shot out the sky somewhere or something. No, but that's what they call him, old bird.
Oh
So
my
yeah.
goodness.
But Aaron to me, just talking and meeting Aaron, he's a good young man, on the rise. He speaks very, very articulate, and
Mm-hmm.
very nice guy. I just think he was dealing with the wrong person.
Okay. Well, you know what? Sometimes, as our parents told us, so sometimes you gotta bump your head to find out. So
That's
everybody,
it.
sometimes no matter how much somebody tells you the stove is hot, you gotta touch it for yourself.
That's it. You're not gonna
Mm.
know it's hot till you touch it.
And then that one time you touch it and burn your hand, you're gonna leave that stove alone next time.
That's it.
So hey, don't be all quiet over there. Some people are saying you're on mute, JR. I need your voice. Hey, Sean Stokes, good to see my other co-host. Hey, Sean celebrated his birthday and he out of here. He ain't even been back. Come on, JR, what you
All
got
right,
to say?
so I got a question. So Aaron, with you being the older head in the group, like and nominating yourself like the father figure type thing, do you think that you're going to be held to a different standard to the other guys who may be more immature and younger and all that, not as experienced?
Yes. Now here's something else that, yeah, I'm gonna say this because it wasn't shown. Uh, when I went off on Dymond's friend, I went back and apologized to all the fellas for them seeing me in that aspect. because I
Mhm.
can't talk one thing and do another. So I went back and apologized. Now I didn't owe them an apology, but I just apologized for them seeing me that way, because I never was that way on the show. You know, I was the one that always, spoke up, and I was always talking about y'all need to be closer to your girls and stuff like that, because young people do things a little bit differently than we do. I was not concerned about, being with other women and stuff like that. It's certain conversations that they sat around and had that I wasn't having. But like when they tried to question me in the pool, as you can see, where come on, she's not perfect. Yeah, she's perfect for me. Might not be perfect for everybody. She's perfect for me. So when they see me in that aspect, I didn't like it. I felt bad about it. I was convicted, and my father always taught me, if you feel convicted, then that means you're a good person, because some people just don't feel convicted about what they do. At least you feel bad about what you do. And when I feel bad about something, it bothers me. And if it bothers me enough, I have to come and apologize, because that's the only way that I can, I'm gonna ask God forgiveness, and I'm gonna ask your forgiveness. Now, that doesn't mean you have to forgive me, but at least, by me saying forgive me, it's admitting that I did something wrong. So I went to them and I apologized, and I didn't show that part, but I did.
Right. Okay. So we didn't see you apologize to the other guys. We saw you apologize to Dymond. Did you feel
Yeah.
any compulsion to go and apologize to her friend as well?
I was ready to sit down and have a conversation with her after the blow up, but she didn't want to. Yeah,
Okay.
I was ready. I had, let me tell you something. I was like a boiling pot that had done spilt over. But once the boiling pot spill over and enough water come out, then it's back to just being a boiling pot again. So I had done already spilt over. So I was good. So I could sit down. We could have sat down and had a conversation. And probably after I conversated with her, as good as I am with conversating, she probably would have hugged me afterwards. But she was not willing to sit down and have this conversation, which to me is, why did you come on the show? Because you was going to be on TV? Because it definitely had nothing to do with Dymond.
No.
You had your own thing going on. You could care. She asked you not to do that. You did it. You came on the show. You knew you was coming to meet the guy that she wanted to be involved with. And if you're telling me, like she said on the one thing that y'all got to watch, she said, if y'all get married and you want to come to my house, you can come, but he can't. This is what she said. He can't come. So if you're saying all this, what was the point of coming on the show? Because to come on the show means you're going to meet the person that they're with and then be able to talk to them and fill them out. She wasn't willing to do that.
No, she came.
So
She
what
came
was
on
the
the show.
point?
She came on the show to roast you and settle the score from 2 years ago,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah,
But
exactly. But it didn't work in her favor.
right, but you indirectly answer my next question, which is, do you feel like like the friend at any point in time would have given you an apology for the way she behaved? And the answer is no, right?
Yeah, I don't think she would ever do that. Me, I could absolutely talk to her and apologize for going off on her. Now, the insults was mutual, but when she started talking about my mother and children, that was not mutual. That was not mutual at all, because if you heard the one part, I said, I don't know your mama and you don't know my mama, but we could talk about somebody we both don't know, like your daddy. Who is he? But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But uh,
No, you
uh
didn't.
yeah, you didn't hear that part when I said
I
it.
forgot you're a
Yeah, the comedian came out of me, but um the thing is, I never went below the belt on her.
No,
We both talked about
I didn't
each other,
see it.
but you went to something that had nothing to do with the situation. My mother, my father, or my children had nothing to do with that. My raggedy mama, she called mammy and all that stuff. You don't know my mama, so she went there. But even with her going there, I still can sit down and apologize for my part in it.
Right.
For my part in it. I can't apologize for her part, but I can still, because that's just the way I am. Once something is over, it's over for me. But I can tell you right now, she's still on the same stuff right now. Right now.
Right. So
So
do
some
you think
people just don't change. Go ahead.
do you think that unfortunately it's a situation where you're gonna get a hostile, combative, aggressive, disrespectful person paint a picture of you, um, to your woman, give them their opinion of you, which is nothing but negative. She's gonna come on TV knowing and saying what she said. She came in with the intent to do it. Do you think that it should only have been you that's been expected to make the apology? Do you not think the onus should be on her to apologize as well, in order to reconcile and, you know, agree to disagree, and, you know, even if you never see each other again, like, at least you said your piece to each other and you don't need to deal with each other no more?
I think we both, the apology should go both ways, but however, she doesn't determine my keys into the heaven and the gates. So it's not about what she does, it's about what I do. You know, when I was in school, and I used to, sometimes I would act up and I would get kicked out, and my father would ask me what happened, and the first thing I would do is tell him what somebody else did. I would get hit right then, because I don't want to hear what nobody else did. What did you do? Okay. So when it comes to apologizing, yeah, do I deserve an apology from her? Absolutely. But I can't worry about that. You know, my thing is, I would apologize to her, you know, whether she gave it to me back or not, because that would clear me. That would make my conscience feel better, because I know that I did the right thing by apologizing to her for what took place. Now, do I think she would ever do it back? Nope. Nope, because she's just not that type. I believe she's very jealous of Dymond, and she just has it in for anybody that comes around Dymond, you know, which says a lot to me, but whatever. Yeah.
Well, we got a good question from our chat. While we're on this topic, my beautiful moderator extraordinaire wants to know, but like, Irene, if she was wrong for telling her close friend's sister how she felt that you were the wrong guy, do you see how it's not making sense that you telling Aaron's dad about his girl? Like, how that's kind of meddling because you thought that her friend was meddling with you. Jay,
Well, let the chat know, and I can only say so much. But maybe that question didn't become because I wanted to ask it. Maybe I needed to ask it. I'll just put it that way.
Say that one more time for me.
Maybe the question to the dad didn't come because I wanted to ask it. Maybe I needed to ask it.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's the best way I can put that.
We on the same page. I got you. Okay. And then the other question. Oh, go ahead.
You have to understand out there in TV land that when it comes to reality shows, there is no show without drama. I don't care what you watch, what you read, or anything else. It has drama in it. Nobody wants to see an undramatized show, even though they talk about all the drama. They stupid, they this, they that. But it's the drama that keeps you coming back. So it had to be some drama on that show. It had to be in order for it to be.
Plenty.
Yeah, in order for it to be a show. So the show is making it look like me and Dymond has been all kind of things right now. We've been the counselors that never even giving people really advice on there. Not really. We've been the drama people. We've been the past and first lady. We've been all kind of stuff. But
the past and first lady. I like that one.
Yeah. It's we're painted to look that way, but just understand that you have never seen Dymond and I get into it with each other.
Okay. The other question is, when you said a moment ago, you were explaining that you did feel a way, you had regret, and you went and you apologized to the fellas. Did you apologize to the whole house? Why just the men? The people want to know. Why just the men?
I apologize to whoever was in the kitchen at that time, and I can't. It's been a while, so I can't remember exactly who was there. But I did. Yeah, it was whoever was in the kitchen. But I know the fellows was in the kitchen for sure. I can't even remember if all of them was in the kitchen. All I know is I felt bad because, you know, I was the one that said, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, that, and the other. And then I turned around and did the very same thing that I said don't do. So you gotta practice what you preach. So I felt bad about that. So I went in there and apologized.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've changed my banner to say, "Welcome, Pastor Aaron H, to the room."
Yeah. Well, that what everybody keep
I want to
calling me,
give,
Pastor.
yeah, I want to give all credit and titles where they belong, Pastor.
And the funny part is, you know how rumors go around. So some of these little forums like Reddit and all that. They got he's on there talking like that. He's a pastor. I'm, I'm like, when did I become a pastor?
Never heard you say you were a pastor. Now,
No,
Jr. Oh,
they
go ahead.
done took PK and ran with it. They took PK and ran with it. I'm gonna say two
Okay.
things about that. One, just because the person is a PK doesn't make them in the church either. That just means exactly that they're a
That's
pastor's kid.
pastor's kid. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're going to church, even though I
Oh,
did. But that doesn't mean you're going to church. Now they done made me not only the
mhm.
pastor's kid, but they done made me the pastor. Oh, okay.
Well, we know we those of us who actually go to church, we know that usually the PK's kid is usually like what the
The-
worst kid.
they say we the worst ones, but I always say we're not the worst ones. We do everything that everybody else do. We just the ones most watched.
Ah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'll accept correction. That makes sense what you're saying. That makes sense. And then maybe it even has something to do with rebellious. Maybe we could say that some pastors' kids are actually rebellious too. All the things
Yeah.
they're being taught to do things God's way and to do things in an orderly, a certain kind of fashion, which most people today would say, "Oh, that's old fashioned. That's outdated. That's antiquated. Nobody does that anymore."
You'll see, I done came past that point. You know, you got your rebellion points, especially your teenagers and your 20s and stuff like that. You got your rebellion points. But the Bible says, raise up a child in the way he should go, and when he gets older, he shall not depart. Well, I done got the older part. So now that I'm older, all of my daddy's teachings and raisins is done came back into play. Now I'm still human and I'm not perfect. I am subject to error. Okay, and I don't do everything perfectly, and I don't walk around telling people I'm saved, sanctified, filled with the precious blood of the Holy Ghost and all that other kind of stuff. Because when you do that, that's when people start looking at you sideways about everything you do. You know, I'm just a person out here living, and I'm not gonna be so heavenly bound that I'm no earthly good.
Mm. All right, are you passing the offering plate around now?
Yes, ma'am. I can use some 20 right now. You can get five more dollars. Five more dollars. Just give me five more dollars.
We need 5 more likes up in this piece. Smash that
Yeah.
like button. Go ahead and
Yeah,
smash
you
that
give me
like button.
five more dollars.
We got Aaron H in the room, in the house. Yeah. But now moving on along, like anything else, what were you thinking? I guess were you in the room when Jody had mentioned what she had been through to some of the people in the house? I'm not sure if I recall you being in the room or not. Were you in the room?
No, she talked about the essay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, but I was a little bit confused. As of like you said, now I'm speaking not as a person on the show, but I'm speaking as just somebody just watching, like y'all. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, she's very confusing because she says that she became a sexologist so that she can help people. But how can you help people when you jacked up yourself? She clearly said the reason why she don't want Aaron to touch her and push the bed together and all this other kind of stuff is because she still got issues. Well, if you still got issues, that means you need a sexologist, I guess. But
Ooh.
how can you be something? How you gonna flunk out of high school and then teach people how to graduate? That just don't work. That don't work. So to me, by her saying that she wants to help people, but then she turned around and say she's needing the help, but then she turns around and says she's a man eater and she wants to smash in the first of 30 days. None of that makes sense. None of
No,
it.
it's
I wonder if
very,
she'd act the
very
same way if
contradictory.
Chris would have put that bed next to her.
Yeah, that's a question. JR, what do you think?
No,
What
I
do you
said that
think?
earlier. I said the same thing earlier. Would she have had
Oh
the
crap.
by the way she was open with Aaron's dad, the way that she's expressed how her and Chris get on together and all of that stuff? It's only the guy that she's actually in a relationship with that she's struggling to connect with. In fact, she doesn't even seem interested in wanting to connect with him in that way. And so if she is carrying such a heavy burden, a heavy trauma, then yeah, she shouldn't be in a relationship trying to work through it while she's with someone else. No, do that by yourself because you're dragging him down, and anything he does is going to be chastisable and probably provoke a negative reaction. So go work on yourself, Jody. And it's no offense. You said you have something that you're dealing with. You're a mature, intelligent, educated sexologist. You know what to do. You know the step to take. You would advise clients in your situation what to do. You need to go take what would be your own advice and go and fix yourself in that way.
I just don't think she has any interest in Aaron. She had plenty of smiles and cheese and happy for the dad. She has plenty of smiles and cheese and happy with Chris. But then when it comes to Aaron, she has plenty of excuses and reasons why this, that, and the other. But she didn't have reason why this, that. So you're not. Wait a minute. Let us analyze this for 2 seconds. Me and you, Jr. So you are not comfortable enough with Aaron that he can't push the beds together and kiss you on the forehead and make you feel a certain kind of way, or make her feel like somebody's touching her or something like that. But you just met the dad just a second ago, and you was comfortable to get dipped and everything with him.
I'd be comfortable getting dipped with dad too, daddy. Dip me.
You so crazy. Listen, I'm about to get Ron on Joe Instagram. Because you done mentioned how bad he is the last 3 episodes.
I like Ronald, but now that I realize who he reminds me of, okay, I don't know. It's a little too much daddy. Like he actually does look like my father, like a younger version of my father, and like I said, a couple shades darker. I think he's very handsome though. I do. But yeah, daddy could dip me. Aaron's daddy could definitely dip me.
Well, he could dip her, obviously. But if Aaron would have did the same thing, she would have had an attitude.
Oh, she would have went crazy.
Yeah.
I want to say this because something you said that really stood out just now when you were talking about Jody, Aaron, Jay, and his dad. You saying about her cheesing to like the dad. She cheeses a lot because she was exuberant when they finished doing that salsa dance, right? She was exuberant. She said, "Oh, this is what I needed." She had new life. When she's talking to Chris, she's smiling, she's cheesing, and she's all loud in the kitchen saying, "Yeah, you and I, we get each other. We on the same page. I'm gonna smash inside of a month," like you pointed out. But the one thing I've never seen her do that I can recall is I've never seen her cheesing like that with her man.
She didn't.
And I'm like, even that, like that right there. I'm not talking about anybody pushing their bed against her bed when she's at night, because I do feel like that's a violation, especially when he knows ahead of time what she's been through. I don't want you pushing your bed up on my bed without my permission or consent. And if you're doing something while somebody's asleep, that definitely means they haven't given you consent, right?
Well, that wasn't done while she was asleep. Nobody was in the room when we did that. So she came to the room. She came to the room and knew the beds was pushed together. But if you notice on that episode, I also told Aaron jokingly, it is enough beds in that room that you can sleep in that room and still be away from her if you want to. Just get out of the room with us is what we're trying to say.
Oh, okay. But what we saw, and JR, jump in here and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I recall seeing this week, the bed was separated as they were talking, and it was nighttime or whatever, and she was going to sleep, and she was clearly in her bed, like a twin bed. He was clearly in his bed, and there was space, like maybe let's say a feet or two, right? And then later we see the bed pushed together. He's actually narrating it, right? And he says, "I'm going to push the bed together. I want to be closer to her, yada, yada, yada." He pushes the bed, and then he's next to her when she wakes up. And I'm saying that if somebody has been through something where they've lost control, where they've had all their power taken away, as a essay would make you feel, why would you think that when she goes to sleep, it's okay for you to do whatever? Like what? That's what I saw. Hold on, wait a minute. JR, I just want to ask you, did you see the same thing, or am I imagining something?
Yeah, no, he seemed to, push the bed together like the guys were encouraging to do. He was like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let me see if I can initiate something, like whatever. And it backfired. So now that he's done it, man, he can't go there again until she overcomes what she's been through. Like, he's gonna be walking on eggshells if he's thinking there's gonna be any type of intimate connection like that. She has to go through what she's going through and get over it. And I don't know what type of relationship they're going to have around that, because it just doesn't seem to be meshing anyway. But yeah, it definitely looked like that from my opinion. He narrated it. He pushed the bed together. He made his move while she was asleep. And the other thing that you have to remember as well is that people are at their most vulnerable when they're asleep. So she couldn't have consented to anything. She, if she woke up feeling someone embracing her and she didn't give consent, she wasn't inviting it, then that's a violation of her boundaries and her space. So, he seemed to take her feedback seriously, and now going forward, he knows what he can and can't do. Definitely don't put, try and interact with her in that way.
And he seems so sincere. I do love that Aaron J really listens to Jody really intently, and his apology was very sincere. Unlike, you've heard sometimes when people on the show have apologized and you felt like that's not real. That's not, you don't really have any remorse. He genuinely sounded and felt like he had remorse and was regretful, and that he would consider the context, because I think that you can tell someone what has happened to you. And for example, if that person has never been in that situation, it's still hard for them to process all the ways that this trauma has affected you.
So you need to go talk it out and sit down with someone. And like you said earlier, even if you don't want to reach out to a professional yet, at some stage you will have to. But one of the other things you could do is sit down with someone who has a similar experience, i.e. someone like Millie, for example. Yeah. And as you discuss things, then that might help you bring down the emotional attachment to the situation that happened.
Because and JR.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me say this right quick too, because I seen a comment on here. At the time that I got into it with Dymond's sister, just floating back, her sister friend, my adrenaline was pumping. And I don't know if anybody have ever been there besides for me, but when you're at that point, you kind of, sometimes you just don't remember everything. So the person is pointing out, I can remember everything, Jody, but I can't remember who was in the kitchen. No, I can't, because it was a lot of people in the kitchen at that time going in and out, and I can't remember exactly who was in that kitchen or not. I know Chris was in the kitchen. I remember specifically looking at his face, and I believe that Greg was there and some more people, but I just made a complete apology. I still was, that happened like seconds after I did what I did, seconds after. So I still hadn't really calmed down yet. But I was calm enough to walk in that kitchen and apologize. I tell you that to them, because I just felt bad about it. Now, who all was in the kitchen, I can't exactly remember who all was in the kitchen. I could tell you that Jody was not there because she's never anywhere around me.
Okay.
So it's no ifs, ands, and buts about that part. So whoever made that comment talking about, well, I can remember this, can't remember that. Things happen, like I say, once again, I'm human. I can't remember everything and everything. I don't remember everything about Jody because a whole lot went on that show. You got to remember, we was there for 4 weeks, and a whole lot went on that I can't. Matter of fact, I see some things that I said, and I said, dang, I don't even remember saying that.
But it's coming out of your mouth, though, right?
Yeah, it's coming out of my mouth, and I don't even remember it because, like the whole thing when we were standing out there talking about the toilet seat, I forgot all about that. I don't know if y'all seen that, but I completely forgot about that. I just completely forgot.
But answer me this though. Do you know at this point where we're in this episode? Because I was saying this earlier, and I don't know if you were in here or not, but it just seems to me, because with Millie and Jody having experienced something similar, even though they have discord between them and differences, right? But maybe if they were aware. So I'm wondering at this point, are they aware that both of them have been through SA or no?
Wait a minute. Both of who went through essay?
Jody. Jody and Millie. Millie is talking to
Oh,
this episode and has been talking
oh,
about that
yeah.
she was raped. We have to say it that way. You guys know what I'm saying. She was
But
raped twice.
I know Millie. Well, I wasn't there when Millie said it, so I heard it for the first time, just like you. And I heard Jody say it for the first time, just like you. And I don't think that they went around, telling each
Oh,
other that. I
okay.
just don't think so because Diamond was in the mix of them, and she would have known, and she probably would have told me, unless she just didn't say nothing. But I had never heard that. I'd never heard that. Now I feel bad that that happened to them. In that way, I feel bad for anybody that anything like that happens to. But I had never heard of until then.
Okay.
Just like we don't know what Greg went through yet until the next episode.
No, we won't find out till next week. But listen, okay, so El Cid brings up a good point. So now that you know in this episode, you're finding out, or I don't know if you said, wait a minute, are you saying that you didn't even know during the taping of this at all about Jody's trauma? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
absolutely not. You had to realize that
Oh,
we're not where everybody is. You understand what I'm saying? When they're doing
right,
their confessionals and stuff like that, we're not in there. We don't know this stuff. So whatever they said, we know nothing about. Or if say me and Diamond is upstairs in the house and they're
mhm,
downstairs talking, unless somebody come and tell us, we
right.
don't know
That's
any
right.
of it.
That's right. Because she's saying it openly. First, she says it one on one to Aaron J. But then she says it kind of openly, like out in the open in the kitchen where there are other people around. And that's why I was asking you, were you in the
Yep.
room in the kitchen that day
No,
when she said that? Okay,
not not
because
not at all.
but let me ask you this. Let me just do a what if. So if you had known, do you think you would have came at her so aggressively, knowing that she had been traumatized before in in that manner?
No, I wouldn't have. Um, I have a heart, a very big heart, believe it or not. And
Hmm.
when things happen to people, it bothers me. It hurts me. I'm the type of person that's hurt by people being homeless on the street. I got to get out and give them something. And if I can help somebody, I can. So that will bother me the same way it bothered me when it happened to Alexis. you know, it would have made me look at her a little bit differently than I did. But all I could do was go on what I seen of her at the time, which was she had a lot of attitude. She was doing Aaron bad, a whole lot of stuff that took place in the house. Maybe look at her sideways, especially when I first got to the house. When I first got everybody, if you notice at the very first episode, everybody was introduced. Well, when Diamond brought me in and introduced me, everybody spoke except her, except her. So we had little things straight off from day one. I'm like, why the heck she didn't speak? Now I want to say this. Now I said it before.
Oh,
Diamond was team Jody at first. She was on
hmm.
Jody's side. She wasn't always against Jody. That became later.
Oh,
Diamond was
okay.
team Jody. See, she would tell me, Jody's okay, this and that. And I said, no, 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 but she was, no, Jody's okay. But then later on, that switched.
Oh, okay. So things kind of as days went by and people got to know each other better, some people's feelings for each other's kind of changed, is what you're saying.
Correct, correct. People, just like when I first got there, I looked at Chris sideways because of the way he is. But Chris ended up being one of my favorite people. And the reason why he's one of my favorite people is because he's stuck with King and Man. He's stuck with what he's stuck with. That's just him. Like either you're gonna like it or love it or leave it. It's just Chris. And so I began to learn Chris. He's not a bad person. He believes in what he believes in. I guess the right woman for him is going to accept that. Just most women won't, but the right person for him will. But he's not a bad person to say, I don't like him because just a terrible person. Chris is not a bad person. He's a very cool guy. He just
He
feel the way he feel about women.
Yeah, which yeah, we'll get to that. But I will say this episode we did see more or at least I can only speak for myself. I saw more of him that made sense and that was fair, because when he sat down with Millie at the beginning, when he sat her down at the table at Greg's request for them to resolve things, he sat down and he was very polite to her and asking her, well, we were having the conversation and, you call me a B, and then she starts to take over it and tell him why she called him a B. And then she starts saying it again. And he says, okay, well, this conversation's over. And he walks away. And then she really starts yelling at him, B, 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 B. And further on into the room, like with the men with the billiards, she's literally screaming and hollering. Were you there when that was going on? Because that was loud.
No, I was there, but I wasn't in the area. I knew nothing about it until it actually took place and they brought it to us.
Okay.
Now I want to go back. I know I keep going back a little bit. Y'all excuse me.
Yeah,
But
that's fine.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say this one last thing to address this, and then I'm gonna move on to whatever else y'all want to talk about. And this is to L Sid. He reminds me of Dymond's sister friend. That means it's nothing that I can say right that's going to satisfy you. Nothing. So it would be pointless for me to keep going back and forth with you, because no matter what I say, if I say, well, the reason why I went up there is because the sky's blue. Well, why did you go up there if the sky's blue? That must mean the sky is crying.
You're
Okay,
correct. You're
so
correct. There's a few in our chat that feel a
so
certain way.
so
Absolutely.
when it comes to people like that, it is no need of me going back and forth with you. I say God bless you, because
Mhm.
that's the way Dymond's sister friend is. I can't say or do anything that's going to be correct in your eyeballs unless I say exactly what you want me to say, and I can't do that. I have to be me and say it the way it really is. And you still don't know the whole story, because there's a lot of things that I can't say. Now, once we're off of this NDA, I'll let y'all know a whole lot of stuff.
Okay.
Where
We
where I
expect you
can,
to come back and have an
yeah,
interview.
yeah, yeah,
We would love to have you back to
right,
have a
where I
real
can
interview.
reveal, because a lot of things that people are saying, trust me, I could tell you this right now. 80% of what people are saying there are totally wrong. We know they wrong, but we can't reveal it. They're wrong. But of course, people are going to have their opinions on what the show presents itself, and that's what shows do. We look at it, we look at a show, and we're gonna go on what we see, which is all you can do. You can only go on what you see. So if what you see, it paints me out to be this bad person, this guy, and you shouldn't do this shit, well, then that's what it's supposed to be. But just know that I may have been painted a picture that's not exactly true. Like when people say, well, if he did that to Dymond's sister friend, he's going to do that to you. Well, the only way you would be correct on that is if I did that to a loved one. If you see me do that to my mom, my dad, my sister, somebody that I love, you would say, well, if he did it to them, then he would do it to you. You can't say if he do it to a stranger whom he don't like, he'll do it to somebody he loved. That's backwards. That's backwards. I might do anything to a stranger. I don't know them.
Ooh, oh
But
my.
I'm not going to do that to somebody I love. I might cuss you out if you catch me wrong, but I'm not going to cuss my mama out. Well, if you did that to them, you're going to do it to your mama. What? That sounds crazy. Dymond, I love with all my heart. It's nothing she could really do wrong for me.
Ooh.
So I would never. And if that was her real sister, to be honest with you, and I know some people say, well, it doesn't matter. It does to me, because I'm one of them blood and stick it in water type people. So if it's your immediate family, I'm gonna let you handle that. But if it's a meddling friend and you talking crap, no, you can meddle your way on up out of here. But once again, I could have handled it differently. But now I'll leave that alone.
Okay. All right. JR, anything else you have for Aaron H? While he's so generously is up here giving us insight and context to this week's episode.
I mean, I'm listening to what you say, bro, and you were there, so I can only go by, everything you said so far. And thank you for coming by and clearing it up.
Yes,
and
thank you.
giving your insight, because, like you said, we see an edited version, and we can only go by what we see.
What you see, correct?
Yeah. So everybody has different experiences, and how we internalize and receive what we're seeing on the screen affects us all differently. So everybody has different perspectives on it, no matter what the situation is.
Oh, okay.
And
that's what the platforms are for, right? Like
Yeah,
everybody can
and
say the same thing, and we have a different take. So,
it's not easy out there to reality TV watching world. Nobody knows what we actually go through being on these shows. And people say, well, you knew what you was gonna get before you went on there. No, not actually. You go on there and you think you know what you're gonna get. But now I have never in my life woke up to Reddit, YouTube, and Instagram and Twitters and all this, and people are talking about me around America and outside of America. You don't know what that feels like, and people judging you that don't even know you. People calling you all sorts of names, calling you abuser, calling you this. Nobody knows what we're going through. We human too, and sometimes that stuff is not easy to deal with. It really isn't. I had to take myself off of Reddit. I had to just remove myself. I couldn't take it no more because I tried to be on there and be cordial on there, but it was starting to get to me. I said, nope, let me remove myself because y'all keep talking about me like I'm this terrible human. You don't know me. But
Let
I
me
had to
get
start
over there.
remembering.
Let me get over there and get in there for
Yeah,
him because
yeah,
I
yeah.
can tell him some things because I have not been on. I had some other shows I was covering and I've been in Reddit and Reddit can be ruthless. You're right,
Oh
but
my God, Reddit, Twitter, man. They
yeah,
is ruthless. I mean, and the thing is, I usually let people slide when it comes to me, but when it comes to Diamond, I don't let you slide.
I know.
I don't
I
let you
know.
slide.
I'm about to say
I'm
you're
not
not
gonna I'm
gonna
not
let
gonna let
that
you come for
slide.
Diamond. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you come for Diamond like that. I'm just not gonna let you do it. Even though Diamond can hold her own as a man, I'm not gonna let you do it. So I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. But I don't want to be this walk around America be this disliked guy either. Everybody hates Aaron. Everybody hates Aaron H. I'm actually one of the most coolest guys you could possibly know. People that know me and my business world, the seniors that I deal with, all the single moms that I get refrigerators and stoves to and furniture to all the time, all the homeless people I help every year. People know me and know me to be an humanitarian and not no bad guy at all. But because of TV world, now all of a sudden the same guy that was this good guy is now the abuser. He shouldn't be with Diamond. Diamond should leave it. Don't talk to him. This, that. So people don't know what we go through. People don't know what we go through. They really don't.
Right. I put that up on the screen because the very person, and that's a lady, by the way. I know it's hard to tell because of the avatar, but she says that she don't agree with that though. Folks should not be out there calling you names, and I absolutely agree with her too. I think it's funny how people will have two sets of rules about what's right and wrong, and then the minute they don't like somebody, the very thing that they say is wrong, they're gonna do it to that person just because they feel like because I don't like you I now don't have to have this high standard of conduct. I'm not name calling anybody. And oh, thank you, thank you. I knew it was something that we left out. Jr., let's talk about this. All three of us. Okay, so there was a part where you called Sandia last week. You called Sandia what? What was your nickname you gave Sandia?
The quiet storm.
The quiet storm. This is the first time this week when I'm really seeing it because in the kitchen after the shouting match that Millie and had with Chris and calling him the B word and starting that agitating that whole thing and then him going back and forth with her and then also talking about his manhood and how small it is and how short it is and all that stuff. Sandia very quietly but powerfully said, the thing that I don't like about it is this. I don't name call anyone. I feel like name calling is disrespectful. And I noticed the look on Millie's face. She got quiet, and you could almost see the wheels in her mind turning. Like, because what I see with Millie is Millie gets outside of herself, and she's just like almost like a blackout with the rage thing, right? That's what I'm seeing.
Mm.
Like she gets so mad at the men, like maybe she's having a throwback to whatever happened to her. But I see her with Chris, like she's just so angry with him and she's fronting at him like she's a dude. Like her man had to hold her back in that billiard room from going right at Chris. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, that's not cool. To me, that's not cool. I'm not going to bump chest with a man because I'm not a man. I don't care what he says to me. I'm not going to bump my chest up against a man. That's a dude's move. And then she talks about how she can't feel feminine. But getting back to Sandia, the quiet storm, I wanted us to discuss what do you feel when Sandia brought that to Millie? What did you guys feel about that scene? Because I felt like that was very powerful, and she didn't have to be loud, and she didn't name call. She didn't call Millie a B.
Well, that's why I call her the quiet storm. Because she when she does say something, she says something. But that's far and few in between. She's pretty quiet. Now I gotta bring this up because it kind of made me laugh when she seen the episode between me and Dymond and sister friend and said I wouldn't let Chris talk to my sister that way. That kind of made me laugh because he talks to you that way. But okay. Um she's she's one of those people. I don't think that Millie came for her because she's just like a quiet type person. To come for Sandia is almost like you a bully because she just don't seem like somebody that's really gonna do anything to anybody, and she doesn't really have too much to say. So it's no need to even attacking her because you're not gonna get anything back out of her. She's a really nice person. She's just quiet.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Do you?
started calling her the quiet storm.
And can I ask you something up to the point where we are in this week episode? Do you see, like, so I know there's a lot edited out. We can't see you guys 24/7 or however long they're filming. They're going to cut out stuff to just bring the drama. But can you see the connection between her and her man Chris, Sandia and Chris? Do you see it? Because I'm not seeing it.
I do. I believe it has a lot to do with their upbringing. Um, I don't know. I don't know about the Haitian culture. I never dug into it, but from what I observe, if you notice, going back some episodes ago, if you notice, whatever Kristen said to her, she would say, "Yes, you told me that." So the way Chris is not new to her. He told her that That's why I said you got to respect who he is, because if he told you, then how can you really be mad at Chris? I understand how people feel about him, and I'm not saying that the man is absolutely correct in what he does. But if I tell you that I'm going to treat you a certain way or act a certain way, and you choose to be with me, then you can't get mad at me because you had an option not to be with me. That you chose to be with me, so this is what you get. So yeah, I think they got a connection because I don't know. Somebody Haitian would have to correct me on this, but it just seems like maybe that's what the ladies do in Haitian. Maybe they stand for their man and they used to that kind of stuff. I don't know. I know American women are not.
No.
It ain't nowhere in heck. Dymond would have walked out that door so freaking fast. Before I could have got the second word out my mouth, she'd already been gone.
Oh yeah, for sure. She ain't having it.
Did you see any like real physical interaction, affection, amorous behaviors between Sandy and Chris during your time in the house?
Uh-oh.
Wait, have we lost it?
Aaron?
Yo, Aaron.
I thought I heard him thinking. Like I could almost feel him thinking. But Aaron, is your audio on, or are you in a bad spot?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, now we can. Now we can.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now you said, did I feel any physical? Did I hear? Was see any physical? What now?
Did you see any physical interaction, amorous behavior? Any real physical chemistry between Sandy and Chris during your time in the house?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Okay.
The only two that didn't show any was Aaron and Jody.
Okay.
Yeah. They definitely was up under each other, and they shared a bed together and stuff like that. So yeah, yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. And going back to the Millie situation briefly, there was one part of what she said, which to Chris, which is, you can't deal with a woman like me. You only deal with weak bees. You only deal with weak beaches, basically. So that was a reference to Sandia. what was the reaction? Was there any reaction from any of the women or the men when Millie made that comment?
No, but that wasn't the only comment that she made about that. But I guess I'm not going to speak on that because it may be coming in a future episode. But that wasn't the only comment that she made like that. And yeah, when she made that comment, she definitely spoke on. Uh, it was against Sandia.
Mm-hmm.
It really was against her. Now
Yeah.
she can say it how she wants to say it, but to me, that was you wasn't taking a shot at Chris. You were taking a shot at her.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Most definitely.
What was the
Because she
relationship?
said you used the weak bees. Now who else can we be talking about? I don't think she knows anybody else that he dated.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
what was the friendship / interaction / relationship like between Millie and Cynthia during the time there? Was it hostile? Were they friendly? Like, what did you see?
Oh, I seen oh no, they was good. Millie and Sandia.
Millie and
Mm-hmm.
Sandia, because remember, Millie stood up for Sandia.
Yeah, no, they were good. They were good. And Sandia didn't have no problem with nobody in that house. I can tell you that right now.
Right. So Millie's
Now,
comment.
I hear y'all speak on a lot of times. Well, this person might have stayed out the way, or that person. No, the only person that I know that didn't get into it with nobody in the house, when I really think about it, would be Sandia.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't get to it with nobody. She said what she had to say here and there, but she didn't get to it with nobody.
And
Okay.
Shay didn't get into it with anybody either, did she?
Keep watching. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying about that.
next week. Yeah, okay, I got
Keep
you.
watching.
So Millie's comment about the weak bees, like Chris only dealing with weak bees because they can't handle a woman like her, that was a completely out of the blue comment made against Sandia when Sandia didn't directly do anything to her.
Now I was there when she made the small penis remark, and I don't know where that came from. we laughed about that for a while.
I can't imagine. Honestly, I can't imagine Sandia with her meekness and not really having known Millie that long. I can't imagine her beginning to tell and share with Millie, like, oh yeah, by the way, we made love in his nah, that doesn't make sense. That's not within
That
the
that
realm of
that that,
normal behavior.
that doesn't seem like something Sandia would do. None of us, including Chris, knows where that came from, but it was a big joke around the house. That's for sure, because that was funny.
Yeah, I'm like all the stuff that she was saying, like you could never be with a woman like me, you could never have me, blah blah blah. I'm like, girl, aren't you there for Greg? Like, why is you even bringing all that up? Like, you two aren't dating. You two aren't in a competition. Like he's dating you or trying to come at you. Like what?
Yeah, that was a pretty funny thing. She said.
Unless well, now here's the thing, maybe we'll see this this week coming up. Unless when Greg wasn't around, Chris said something flirty with her. I don't
Nah,
know.
possibility, that one I don't know.
JR, what do you think? You think Chris is out there flirting with Millie before she started calling him the B word?
I don't think so. Not from anything I've seen. I think if he did, I think her dislike for him, she would have outed it straight away or made a scene about it. So I don't think she would have entertained it for a single second if that had been the case.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that either. But I mean, we'll find out more, next week coming up, because Friday, because I don't know. Last thing, we had someone put a very interesting little poll in the comment, and I think if I can find it, I'd like to share that with you. It's kind of comical. At least I took it comically. This is our moderator. She just wants to know for everybody in the chat to vote. as far as who came with the agenda more so. Was it you, Aaron H, or the friend slash sister, or was it both of them? And we're having an election today, okay? So you guys vote 1, 2, or 3.
I
Oh,
think
oh,
it's going to be
by way,
unanimous.
L Sid, I don't think quiet means weak. I call her quiet storm. She doesn't say
Yeah.
much, but I don't call that. I don't, just because you're quiet, you're not. I don't
Oh
consider that
no.
weak. You're just a person that don't say much. And the reason why I said people just didn't come at her is not because she's weak, but because if you don't, it takes two to tango and it takes two to argue and stuff like that. It's hard to argue with someone one that you know is not going to argue with you back. That's why I said it's, you almost feel like a bully because she's just not that type of person. So yeah,
Right.
I don't consider that weak. She's just quiet.
Mm-mm. My dad was quiet. He definitely wasn't weak. He was not. But he felt like this. He felt like men shouldn't do a
Oh,
lot of
okay,
talking. You should
okay.
let.
I'm staying
I'm sorry.
corrected. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm staying corrected. I just seen she said that was in reference to Millie thought quiet meant
Oh,
weak minded. Well, yeah, that's a totally different story.
yeah. We weren't talking about that, but yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I get what you're saying. Quiet doesn't make you weak. Quiet. My father used to feel like that. It was his belief that men didn't have to do a lot of talking because men were about action and not just flapping their gums.
Right. But this is the thing, though. Millie saw Chris as weak, and that's why she called him the B word and, mentioned other body parts and emasculated him like that. She called him weak for getting
Mm.
up and leaving and not matching the energy and coming at her. Right.
Right,
The
right.
moment he said he wasn't going to argue with a woman, she probably felt like he was belittling her opinion again or silencing
Mhm.
her. So when he walked off, she chased after him because that triggered her and got her angry. So she did see Chris as weak in that moment. But then like I said, to then throw another shot, this time about Sandia being a weak person for being with someone like Chris. Yeah, it doesn't matter what Chris would have said. If that's what she's thinking and feeling at the time, that's why it came out.
I also couldn't understand why Chris and his anger, why he retorted back about her bank account and her money. Like, what did the money have to do with anything?
Yeah, I think that was a
It
self-defense.
it 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 didn't, but with people with a little money, uh, that's the way I feel because if you can't win one way, then you go to where you think you can.
Mm.
So if you say, well, where's your bank account at? Then maybe he might win out. You know what I'm saying? So I think he went to where he thought he could win.
Mm.
Ah, okay. Low lying fruit, as some would say.
Yeah,
Point score.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That's what
he
we
couldn't
call.
he couldn't prove the other thing. At least he better not on national TV. But
Yeah,
he might could have proved the bank account.
yeah.
Okay.
But that's the other thing. He couldn't do anything to validate or invalidate her accusations about his
Correct,
man, right? So
correct.
yeah, like he's gonna point score by trying to hit her low like she tried to do him. And again, when you match energy like that, then it's always going to be the guy that comes off as worse. People are going to overlook what was said to him, but the moment he reacts to it, and that's why I think he's in a situation as well where it's a no-win situation. He tried to remove himself from the situation, and she followed him and tried to continue it. So
Well,
it was a mess.
keep watching. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Keep watching. Keep
Well,
watching.
we appreciate we're gonna let you drop down. We appreciate you though taking the time to come talk with us today. And we know that some of the people in the chat don't agree with some of your actions and some of your words, and we appreciate you coming in, and we would love to have you come back for that after the show has ended, to come back and really tell us some spicy, juicy, hot, piping hot tea.
I'm gonna come back just for El Cid. I'm gonna come back just for her.
Okay, LC, look at you. You earned me an interview. Oh, with a never ever met star. Okay, all right. Thank you for that, LC. Good job.
Yeah,
Well done. Well
Hey,
done.
I appreciate someone that wants to battle a little bit. Everybody's not going to agree, but I love everybody when it all comes down to it. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. Matter of fact, I'm old school, so Facebook is better for me. You can Facebook me. You can hit me in my PM. I'm reachable at all times. I always reach out to people, answer questions that I can answer. If I can, I can't. But if you can reach out to me, then El Cid, you're welcome to.
Yeah, there's his Instagram. I had to search for it because I hadn't started, but there's his Instagram information. And next time around, we're gonna have his Facebook contact the link we'll drop it in the chat. But we appreciate it. We really do. We appreciate you coming and offering texture, context, some piping hot tea to the whole situation. And we appreciate you every time. And you have a great sense of humor, might I add. I enjoy you.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I try and I enjoy. You from Detroit, baby. I got to come on here and represent.
All right. Hey, that's what I say. The more the merrier, but we really do appreciate you. And you hope you have a good holiday weekend. We're celebrating Memorial Day weekend. And, my regards to you. And we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Yes, we will.
All right.
Take care, bro.
All right,
All right.
appreciate you too. What's her name? How you pronounce her name?
Well,
not. She just said.
oh, I don't know. JR, you want to help him with that? Because I don't know.
I'll nod. I'll nod. Yeah, that seems about right.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Miss Knott.
Okay. All right. Take care. Have a good
All
weekend.
right. You too.
All right. Bye now. Yeah. So, wow. Well, what do we have coming up for next week? And then we can wrap this puppy up and I can stretch out and watch me some TV since I got all these extra days off from work and whatnot. Like, what we got? What do we see coming up in the next week situation?
Well, next
I
week it
think.
looks like we have a confrontation between Shay and Josh.
Uh-oh.
And this is probably their first one, I think. So
Yeah,
and it
they
looks like
haven't
it's a
had
big
any
one.
problems.
Looks like it's a big one too.
They haven't had any problems whatsoever. I'm trying to find my ticker for that.
No, but they've been in the boom boom room a lot. So
They've been in the boom boom room. They probably don't even have time to talk. So now all
right.
of a sudden they got something to say and they got something to fuss about. What?
Well,
Sounds
it
like
seems
she's
like
saying. Sounds like she's saying to him, "There's this other woman, and were you effing her?" Like that's what I thought I heard her say. Of course, they're bleeping it out so much you can barely tell.
exactly. So is this the roommate that he got pregnant, or is this another girl altogether? We don't know.
Ooh, hey. I always said I thought that roommate slash mother of his child. I think she's still around. I think she's still around, and she has to be because think about it. If she's the mother of his child now. They still see each other. So hey,
Yeah, it seems like all we see Josh doing basically is refueling, like eating that food, and then going back into the boom boom room with Shay. And
wait a minute. You know I'm sorry. Were you talking about Josh? Did you catch the part where when all that fighting was going on between Millie and Chris? Did you catch him? Did you catch him with his finger up, like doing the church finger thing, and he was tiptoeing in the background of the scene? That was hilarious.
Yeah, well, he's trying to stay out of everybody else's business, everybody else's drama,
It looks
But
like he is. It looks
yeah.
like he is, yeah. But also, it looks like we're going to see next week. We're going to see Aaron J. and Jody in a very intimate photo shoot.
Now, the thing that I kind of took away from that, it's a photo shoot. So was it a genuine kiss, like a natural thing, or was it prompted by the photographers or production to pose in a kissing pose while they take that picture?
Yeah, it didn't look. I'm gonna just say this again. I keep saying, where's the chemistry between these two? Because I don't see not one iota of chemistry. I saw more chemistry that Jody had with his dad than with him, and
Exactly.
that's sad.
Hmm. She didn't say nothing wrong with it though. So
No,
right.
I get
So
well,
yeah,
and the key thing is, well, okay, we got to say this too. What does he see in it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's there. He's seeing that she's not able to be intimate with him physically, but not only physically, what I'm seeing is that she's not able to be intimate with him emotionally. Like I said, I've never seen her smile and beam at her man the way she beams at his dad, the way she beams at Chris. So, like, to me, I
nope.
feel like she has a disconnect. There's like a really huge disconnect. And this is the woman that is the sexologist, but then says she likes to smash and dash. She says, I'm a man eater.
Yeah, listen, she's not attracted to him. Simple. She's not attracted to him. She's got all the sexologist knowledge. She's dated guys, and given herself the manny to tag. So it's not really rocket science. She's not feeling Aaron J in that way at all. She may have um, other reasons behind that as well, which are valid. But the fact is, there is no chemistry there because if he initiates something, she's gonna slap him down for it. And can they continue to just plod along while everybody else is being affectionate, amorous in some way, and they're not? you know. So I don't think it's gonna change. I even noticed after the salsa dance with the dad, she even like gave him a hug and all these different things. She's never been that expressive with Aaron. And I guess
Right.
that's just not the nature of the relationship that they've cultivated. So if it does happen, it's going to be completely out of character. And that's what she chastised him for. Look, why don't you just stay doing what we have been doing? Why do you need to get out of character and be someone else? Like why are you trying to be more forward or initiate more stuff? No, just be yourself. Just sit there and don't do nothing.
You feel like that's how she's
Yeah,
treating Aaron?
yeah. She ain't feeling him at all.
No, she isn't. She isn't. Not no. Like I'm wondering, like, what was their time spent online, FaceTiming and talking to each other? What was that like? It seems like I was thinking maybe he was more of a friend, an online friend,
Mhm.
maybe. But then what was the point of coming to the house?
Yeah. Well, I guess their online chemistry may have been one thing, but then when
Okay.
you meet up in the physical, just like we said with Sienna and Brandon, like
Hmm.
when you meet in the physical, maybe that just kills the whole vibe that you had, kills the
Yeah,
connection.
and some of it has to be personality though too. Let's face it, personality contributes to and what a person says or does, I would think, has to contribute somewhat. Jody,
Cool.
I think she doesn't feel like Aaron J is a leader. And you notice like how his father said, "Can I lead you in a salsa?" Like, and like, yeah, like, and he did during that salsa. He totally made sure that he was the one leading because, yeah, he knew what he was doing. And he was very confident and poised. And I feel
Right,
like, we've even said like with Jody, like she seemed like she'd be more attracted to a fellow like Dominique even.
right. Well, yeah, you gotta get out of there then, right? Because he's not the leader that pushes your buttons in the right way like that. So why keep him there? If you know
Hmm.
you're looking for someone more assertive than someone that will just come up to you and just say, "Listen, would you like to dance? Let's just two step, no music. Let's just go with it." You know,
Mm.
if she's going to be receptive to that, then that's not Aaron. So that's not going to work. And like she said, don't try and do anything different. Stay as you are, type stuff. So even if he was to start doing that, based on seeing how successful his dad was at breaking down her walls instantly, if he was to try something new like that, she'd probably slap him down for that too.
Yeah, I don't think she likes him.
No, she doesn't.
I don't think she likes him. I mean, we can sit here and surmise and have all these psychological tests and whatnot, but I personally just don't feel like she likes him in that way,
Nope.
in a
So,
romantic way.
and the thing is, like I said, like there's a difference between online and in person, right?
Hmm.
In person, you get to see the person's mannerisms, you get to see, you know, how they dress, how they walk, you get to see facial expressions, you get to see all these different things that you don't see online necessarily.
Right.
And you know, it can either work in your favor and the person becomes more attracted to you, or they might see some things and be like, nah, that's a turn off, that's giving me the ick, that's me, you know, I don't like that about him or whatever. And once you start, I guess once you're in her situation, you start building up a list of things that you no longer like about the person since meeting them, then again your connection is not going to go anywhere in a positive way. So you got to get out of there. Got to get out.
Okay, before we close up, Sid had a very good point about um, she would like to hear more about what Aaron J needs and not just about what Jody needs, which is a good point because relationships should be balanced, and both parties should be trying to meet certain each other's needs to a certain degree. Also, uh, she points out that Aaron J is actually away from his young child right now to film to do this to meet Jody. So
Yeah,
that was a sacrifice on his point, and that's a very good point. He
exactly.
absolutely that is a sacrifice.
Yeah. So again, I think that obviously adds a layer of significance to their connection working because he's gambling rather than spending time with his child, whatever his arrangement is. Um, he's taking the time to go and meet this person and probably hoping that it's going to work out for the best. And
Hmm.
the connection they formed online is going to produce a great relationship. But it's not going that way. So, you know, I think the only way we're really going to get to find out what he actually is looking for, what he wants, is if they sit down with a third party, a therapist, because the therapist, she'll want to know Jody's side, and then, or he will want to know Jody's side, and then they'll also want to address anything Aaron's got going on, and then try and work out a way for them to move forward. But if you just leave
Okay.
it to both of them to try and work itself out, then it's clearly not working.
Yeah, good point. And you know what? Back to the counseling. Thanks for reminding me. Last thing on this next week, we're gonna maybe find out. Seems like we're gonna find out about what happened to Greg,
Hmm.
his trauma.
Right? He obviously didn't feel comfortable enough to share it with Millie privately, and hasn't spoken about it for many years. It seems like. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know, the thing about it, like he said, he repressed it. He didn't even think about it. And like I said, earlier in this conversation, this whole episode triggered me bring having repressed memories coming up.
mm,
That can happen. That's like the mind's natural defense mechanism.
exactly, it's a coping mechanism,
It's a coping mechanism. Exactly.
and it affects people in different ways. I assume, you know. So some people may act out in many different ways, and some people might suppress it, move on, and treat it like it never happened, and then all of a sudden something brings that memory flooding back, and then they perform a behavior which is related to what they went through. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, if you're in a relationship and you do that, then the person you're with might be subject to or the victim of whatever you're bringing from that previous situation, which is
Yeah.
unfair to that person.
Right. But I'm going to say this though too, because you were talking earlier in our conversation, and you were saying that people, when they are hurt and they need help and they need therapy, they don't need to be in a relationship. But uh, I agree with you. You're right to a large degree, but the reality is that many people are walking around hurt, injured, emotionally damaged, and you can't see it. That's the thing about an emotional pain and being emotionally abused or even being physically abused. And years later, there are those emotional scars. But the reality is that many of us are going to be, if we're out dating still, you're going to run across people that are emotionally damaged, and they might be at whatever part in the spectrum of healing. And so I'm not sure if I totally agree that everyone who is healing should not be in a relationship or should not date, because
Okay.
sometimes you come across a partner that will help you to heal. You got to do the work yourself, but I don't know how I'm trying to even put into words what I'm trying to say, but that happens.
It does, but this is the thing. The person that you're with is not usually going to be a qualified therapist capable of taking whatever load you're bringing from that.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're not qualified in how to deal with it, it can go good where they are able to hear and understand, empathize, and help you through it, or it can go bad where something they say or do triggers you, or when you shared your story they roll their eyes, or they don't have the empathy required to deal with it, or they may not have the capacity to take on what you're going through plus what they've been through as well. So yeah, you're right, people do still continue to have relationships while suffering those wounds, scars, and everything that are left untreated. But that the chances of having a successful relationship while carrying those things is a lot more limited, I would have thought.
Well, I guess we don't know until each individual person that we meet, we don't really know. Because you can think that a person is perfectly fine and to the point of the triggers, and they may have repressed some pain or some emotional hurt or wound that they have, and until something triggers it and pulls that scab off of it, you may not know.
Exactly. And if it's your partner, then that's when you're going to hit tough times, because they may do it inadvertently, and now they're going to be penalized and punished for something that someone else did to you.
Wow. This show, I mean, say what you want to say about the show, say what you want to say about the budget or whatever. This show has brought up more talk worthy topics, like really something we could really deep dive into, than some of these other shows, in my opinion. It really has. So what do you think? Time for us to get on out of here, shimmy and shake?
Yeah, let's make that move.
All right. Bye, y'all. Love you already. See you guys next week.
Take care. See you next week.